Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Danbury Hat-Tricks Hockey on the Danbury Hat-Tricks YouTube channel. I'm Casey Bryant alongside Zach McGinnis, and joining us shortly will be Jack O'Mara up in the broadcast booth. We've got ourselves a big matchup here tonight as the Danbury Hat-Tricks will be facing off with the Watertown Wolves in a battle for supremacy in the Eastern Division. As the Danbury Hat-Tricks currently sit 1 point behind the Watertown Wolves, that being courtesy of a victory late last night, 6-4, your final over the Watertown Wolves. And a big game at that, especially for the man between the pipes, Tom McGuckin, who stopped 52 of 56 shots credited thrown his way. So we have ourselves a marquee matchup here for first place here, Zach, and it's a matchup that the Danbury Hat-Tricks will be going for their 9th consecutive victory. It's unprecedented, if only just because by being in their first season, it's the longest win streak in history, and it continues to grow.
It is the longest win streak in Danbury Hat-Tricks history, and it speaks well to the health of the team. They started the season off with a pair of overtime losses to the Port Huron Prowlers. Things were a little tough there at the beginning. You saw some new players come on in, and then you take a look at the 3-game set around Thanksgiving against the Elmira Enforcers. Danbury goes up to Elmira. They win all 3 games. They've been on fire since. If they win today, they have first place overall in the Eastern Division.
The Danbury Hat-Tricks have been led by some key players coming up in this evening. Corey Anderson enters the game as one of the hottest players in the FPHL, currently riding a 6-game goal-scoring streak and an 8-game point streak, coinciding with the 8-game winning streak for the Danbury Hat-Tricks. And Jack, Corey Anderson, Scory Anderson, has been a key cog in the machine for the Danbury Hat-Tricks.
Since day one, Corey Anderson's been the guy that you go to. I mean, he's produced in all facets of the game. I think he's a great two-way forward. And you're right, Casey, when you're producing like that, usually that leads to wins. You see oftentimes when teams go on long win streaks like this, there are 1 or 2 players that continue to score over and over and over again, and they're a contributing factor.
The Danbury Hat-Tricks taking on the Watertown Wolves, and in net for the Watertown Wolves as part of your Ameriprise Financial goaltending matchup. In goal will be Jeremy Pominville, who is one of the best goaltenders statistically speaking in the FPHL, but he's lost his last 3 starts. Jeremy Pominville was solved last night for 5 goals. Zach, what did you see last night from the Danbury Hat-Tricks as they peppered Pominville?
I saw a lot of chances, but I also saw Danbury give up a lot of chances as well. Tom McGuckin, who's going to be in goal for the Hat-Tricks tonight, he got the win. He let up 4 goals on 56 shots. Now, the Danbury Hat-Tricks, they're talented enough offensively. I believe they had 46 shots against Pominville yesterday. They were getting them on goal from all sorts of angles that opened things up in the middle. And Jack, when you take a look at the Danbury Hat-Tricks offense, it really can come from any different direction.
And that's what the late additions, Carter Shinkarik, Casper Dearson, those lines have been producing. We saw the acquisition of Nick DiNicola, an instant impact, a hat-trick on his hat-tricks debut. Those are the guys that have continued to play well and have fired up this offense. Gordy Bonnell has been fantastic. Those are the guys that you see 3 or 4 times on a score sheet at night, and that's been the difference maker really for this win streak, is the production not only from the top line, but 2 and 3.
Well, they'll need all the help that they can get, as this is round 2 of what is going to be a 4-round matchup. They'll have another home-and-home next weekend. But first, let's turn you over for the announcement of the starting lineups and the playing of our national anthem. Here's public address announcer Christian Gardecki.
Today, our local community suffered a devastating loss. Before tonight's game, we honor the 26 lives tragically lost at St. Please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats for the singing of our national anthem. Dunman Hospitality Group and the Danbury Hatchers proudly welcome a sophomore from New Paltz High School, New York, and lead singer of the Bedrock Band, Tess LaBelle.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. When the rockets ring, the pumps bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled banner. For the land of the free and the
A dynamite rendition of the national anthem by Tess LaBelle, lead singer of the band Bedrock, who is entertaining both before the game and during the first intermission tonight. Your starting lineups first for the visiting Watertown Wolves. On the blue line, they'll have number 2, Vladimir Port. Alongside him, number 27, Kyle Powell. On the forward lines, they'll have David Pawlowski, Cameron Dimmitt, and Joseph Devaney. In goal, as mentioned before, as part of your Ameriprise Financial goaltending matchup, is number 1, Jeremy Pominville. Starting lineup for the Danbury Hattricks, a new look first line, as Carter Shinkarik is now the center for Phil Bronner and Nicola Levesque. On the blue line, they will have number 77, Aaron Atwell, with number 44, Steve Brown. And in goal, making his 6th consecutive appearance, will be Tom McGuckin. That completes your Ameriprise Financial goaltending matchup. Are you saving enough for retirement? Learn more with Ameriprise Financial and Derek Packett. So, guys, as we look forward to now what is possibly a historic matchup here for the Danbury Hattricks as they try to get into first place for the first time in their franchise's history. Jack, what do you think the Danbury Hattricks need to carry with them into this evening in order to come out of here with 3 points?
Well, I think you need to carry a swagger. And you're riding that 9-game win streak, or 8-game win streak, I should say, looking for 9. Your target's getting bigger and bigger on your back. You need to have a chip on your shoulder, some swagger in your step today, and don't take anything for granted. You got to play a hard-nosed hockey game for 60 minutes against a team that you're probably going to see later in the season in April.
We're getting set for a puck drop. It'll be Shinkarik winning the draw back to the blue line. Away we go as right off the faceoff dot, David Pawlowski came up holding his face a little bit. On the faceoff, it looks like Shinkarik might have gotten his stick tied up. Well, Shinkarik hasn't started a game yet for the Danbury Hattricks, as he's now out there with the usual starting line of Levesque and Bronner. Ordinarily, it is Johnny Ruiz's spot, but with Casper Dearson out of the lineup and some new faces coming in and out, Billy McCreary wanting to see how some chemistry develops between some new players, and Zach, Carter Shinkarik has been one of the best players for the Danbury Hattricks since his arrival.
He really has been. He's played 9 games. He has 11 points. 9 of those points coming by the assist, but this is a player, he's a very intelligent player. Previously in the SPHL, he's been a great addition here for Danbury.
Corey Anderson enters in on the left side, looking towards the net. The redirection in front by Johnny Ruiz is steered aside by Pominville. Now a turnaround try by Anderson, fanning on it between the hash marks as it's taken, and trying to get it up out of the zone was Jamie Lucas, but he's met at the blue line. Here's Ruiz making his way in, brought down to the ice, had a stick tied up in his legs, and no call. Into the near side corner, Ruiz back on his feet, cycles it to Anderson, looking out to Ruiz, near side circle, wrist shot off the side of the net. Here's Dina Cola behind the net. Two hat tricks behind the end line. It's taken away by the Wolves. Trying to escape out of the zone was Kugler, but couldn't get out. There's Kugler trying to bank it off the right side wall. Lucas is met by Martin Tuma, and now the Wolves will dump it down the length of the ice. And an early icing as a great first shift here for the Danbury Hat Tricks.
Great offensive pressure. I really like the way they were able to get that second line out there without missing a beat in the offensive end. Johnny Ruiz making things happen. You saw the chemistry that's still being developed, though. Two players standing next to each other behind the net. You don't exactly want that offensively.
Yeah, much faster start here for Danbury. They're moving the puck well around the outside of the offensive zone, and it looks like Watertown's just stuck in mud.
As behind the net, digging it out is Kendall Bolin Porter, looking towards the net, intended for Bunnell, but intercepted. And up come the Wolves. Here's Asselstein. Dumping it in deep and pursuing it will be Cruz Listmeyer, playing in his first home game since returning from a lower body injury. Good to see number 4 out there, as he hasn't played in front of this home crowd since opening weekend. I'm sure he's got to be antsy out there in front of the Danbury faithful.
Well, Casey, I had a chance to speak with him before the game. He's excited more than anything else. He's finally back on the ice in front of his hometown fans.
Crossing the red line and blue line, but being met by the defense were the Wolves, as here's a newcomer for the Danbury Hat Tricks. That's Lenny Caglianone entering in, as Vladislav Gavrik will forward it into the right side. Gavrik back at the forward position after spending a little bit of time on the defense, and even though he didn't look too far out of place as a defenseman, Jack, I'm sure that Gavrik is thankful to be back in the forward line, and he had a pair of goals last night.
Yeah, he did, and he was a great performer on the defensive end as well. I mean, he played very, very well in kind of a substitute role for him, but you're right, Casey. I think that Gavrik it's his bread and butter being on the forward units, and he's going to produce a lot more being back to his original position.
Well, Zach, the Danbury Hat Tricks have their first power play coming up on the interference. What did you see there?
Well, Tyler Jurich, he just simply got himself involved in a way that he shouldn't have. For Jurich, it's his first game back here at the Danbury Arena since being a member of the Danbury Titans. He scored 50 goals that season, 100 points in the year, including a couple call-ups to the SPHL and the ECHL. Just got a little ahead of himself.
Entering in on the left side is Jamie Lucas, cutting to the net. He scores! Jamie Lucas pots a shorty by Tom McGuckin, and in the blink of an eye, 11 seconds into the power play, the Watertown Wolves have struck first.
And that's such a good move right there for Lucas, because he's going up against a player in terms of Nikola Levesque, and he's a forward. So he's trying to win that battle. It's a much easier battle, and he just slips it in between the wickets of Tom McGuckin on the first shot he's seen all day. And Casey, you pointed to it. That's his 4th shorthanded goal of the season.
He's actually scored every shorthanded goal for the Watertown Wolves. Jack, great point, noticing that it's Levesque who is the defenseman there. He's playing out of position. Normally that works okay on the power play. Not so here. And Tom McGuckin, well, he's going to have to shake that one off quickly, giving up the goal on the first shot of the game.
Well, we've seen Tom McGuckin get out to some stutter step starts, especially on home ice, as sometimes you just need to get the early ugliness behind you before you're able to settle down. As here's Aaron Atwell dancing his way in, drops it back to Gavrik. Gavrik cycles it around the wall. Here's Gavrik behind the net mouth, feeding out in front, out into the skates of Atwell. Didn't recognize that it was going to be coming towards him. Here's Bunnell at the near side midboards. Gets it out to Atwell at the point. Has Bolin Porter setting a screen in front, crossing the way, looking for the one-time shot. That goes wide off the stick of Gavrik and rattles its way out of the zone.
Jack, do you want this one? Because once again, we're seeing a one-time shot that goes wide. It clears the zone for the penalty killers, and this is a power play for Danbury. They come in converting on 23.5%. That's good. That's right in the middle of the league. It's at 50. It's 5th overall, but they're not looking good so far.
Ruiz entering in on the left side. He's got Bronner and Anderson entering in with him. Ruiz leaves it back for Bronner. Spins away in the far side corner, out to Levesque at the point, playing pitch and catch. Here's Bronner once more, being checked from behind hard by Kyle Powell. Playing the perimeter, out to Shinkarik, feeds Ruiz for the one-time shot, save. A rebound try by Anderson, another pad save by Pominville.
And that's the benefit there, getting the puck to the net, because 2 juicy rebounds. Anderson got the first one, second one goes wide. Anderson
turning around once again. Here's a shove-in try at the near side post. That one's kept out by Pominville. Here's Shinkarik now keeping it in. Here's Levesque behind the end line. Levesque has Bronner out in front. Power play has officially expired. We're back to 5-on-5 as Jurich is waiting there at the red line. He's cherry-picking. He wants that puck back out to him. Now he'll maneuver his way back into the defensive zone and rejoin the action. As we're just past the 4.5-minute mark here in the first period. Set up in front. Anderson couldn't get there in time. Here's Tuma looking for the redirection. That goes off the glass. early pressure here for the Danbury Hat-Tricks, but now here come the Wolves in transition. Harassed from behind was Lucas. He'll dump it in and get a change. And a lot of looks to the net, Zach, but not a whole lot of shots on goal. So far, only 2 registered for the Hat-Tricks so far, those being those 2 juicy leg pad saves.
And Corey Anderson with his putting his head up to the sky. Good job by Pominville.
And a shot and they score! Mattias Kasich answers right back. And here come the Carrots. It's 1-1.
Well, what I was going to say was it was a great job by Pominville to keep his leg down on the ice. You know what? He did the same thing, but a great shot selection by Mattias Kasich. He puts it about 13 inches off the ice, just above that leg pad, tucks it in the far side post, and Danbury responds.
Yeah, that's such a great play for Kasich, and he saw a couple of nice plays a couple of weekends ago when we saw him here. And he was the fire starter in that series as well. I thought he's played a much better season as we move into pretty much the second quarter now. And just a seeing eye shot right there for Kasich, another nice wrister. And that's what you need to do to pick up your goaltender is go right to the goal and just throw one in there. And it's a great response. And you got to feel good if you're Tom McGuckin saying, all right, we're back to an even score here. Let's get going.
And Mattias Kasich, who now has 4 goals in his last 5 games, he's one of the hottest players. And with all of the new faces coming in, Jack, like Nick DiNicola, like Lenny Caglianone, you've got some players that are still vying for ice time. And Mattias Kasich, is one of those guys that started out on the top line. Now he finds himself in a comfortable role with Bolin Porter and Gordy Bonnell on the third line, but he's still very much fighting for ice time. And he keeps rewarding Billy McCreary for his faith because he keeps putting the puck in the back of the net.
He is, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, just keep him there because there's obviously something working. Maybe the top line, it's just something he can't get through his head. He's not going to perform well. He's loving it down there in the third line, and we talked about the production from 1, 2, and 3. A lot of that has come from Kasich and Bolin Porter, and Gordy Bonnell's always in the assist sheet as well. That's what you need to do to continue to win these games on these long win streaks. Guys like Mattias Kasich finding the back of the net early in the first period.
Yeah, not sure if you guys mentioned it, but for Kasich, it's his 7th goal of the season. But, Jack, to your point, you need that production from your lower line. Sure, the top line, including Bronner, including Levesque, including Johnny Ruiz for most of this year, they can get it done. You need the scoring throughout the lineup.
Entering in now and dropping it back, Pawlowski looking for a man across the way. That's Devaney. Shot attempt is blocked. Here's Asselstein cycling it around. Is picked off by Steve Mealy. Errant pass gets intercepted. A long shot from the far side point, blocker to side. That was off the stick of Colson Stabo. Now Asselstein turns around as a look to the net. Shot saved by McGuckin, and here's Martin Tuma dropping the gloves. Tuma drags a man down and spikes the gloves on top of him.
It's David Pawlowski who Tuma went off on because Pawlowski tripped Tom McGuckin in front of the net. And Martin Tuma, a veteran defenseman, he is not going to let that happen whatsoever.
My goodness, he went right for him, too. There was pretty much no time for Pawlowski to respond. He's basically getting both hooks getting thrown right at him, and Marty Tuma says, enough of this. We're knocking you down right away, and oh boy.
Well, that's Martin Tuma's first fight since returning to professional hockey. He hadn't played before this season since 2015-16. Here he is at 34 years old, looking like a spry 26-year-old.
Well, Marty Tuma, he was a 5th-round draft choice of the Florida Panthers back in 2003. He's a veteran player. He understands the game. He understands the code of the game. And if you're going to let somebody take a run at your goalie like that, you might as well get off the ice. Tuma, he was the closest player there. It is his job to respond in that situation. That's exactly what he did. However, still obviously going to lead to a fighting major. I worry if it's going to lead to a 2-minute instigator as well.
Well, we'll see what the whistle is here as Johnny Ruiz having a pleasant conversation with Tyler Jurich down there in the neutral zone as Steve Brown is standing over by the officiating crew with Kyle Powell from Watertown as they search for an explanation of how they're going to sort this thing out. We're 5 minutes and 43 seconds gone by in the first period. You're watching Danbury Hat-Tricks Hockey with Casey Bryant alongside Zach McGinnis and Jack O'Mara. A reminder to follow the Danbury Hat-Tricks at Danbury Hat-Tricks on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube for live game streams, highlights, exclusive interviews, and more. and be sure to join our mailing list at danburyhattricks.com. So some early fireworks here tonight, and guys, we expected that, especially since the winner of this game gets first place.
Yeah, you were expecting it, and these two teams are going to play 2 more times after this game right now, and this is a matchup that I think is going to be strong moving forward. And yeah, both the fighters will get 2 minutes on the board, or that's temporary.
No, it's 2 minutes. Well, okay, so this is interesting. They're not going to call it a fighting. Looks like they're going to have coincidental minors for roughing, and then Marty Tuma is going to pick up an extra 2.
Well, because Marty Tuma dropped his gloves, David Pawlowski never did. Pawlowski kept his gloves on the entire time because he was getting Marty Tuma's gloves pummeling down on top of him.
He was getting ragdolled down there.
Well, it's Martin Tuma will get the extra 2 minutes as a result of it because, well, if you drop your gloves and the other guy doesn't, I mean, it may be frustrating as a dance partner, but you do get that extra penalty. And honestly, that's honestly a pretty savvy move by Pawlowski. If he knows that Tuma's already got the gloves down and already grabbing him, keep him on. You get the penalty.
I can only imagine if Nick Niedert was up in the booth with us today, what his response would be to that. Sometimes you got to answer the bell, but it's good for Tuma. He's protecting his goaltender, and it's things like that. That's what builds chemistry on a team. It's everybody's fighting for the same thing. Everybody has each other's back. That's how you get a team that becomes better than the sum of its parts.
As it looks like we're finally getting ready to play some hockey.
Wait, there's hockey here?
So it will be 4-on-4 for 2 minutes before Pawlowski is able to rejoin the action. And then after that, it will be a 2-minute power play for the Watertown Wolves. So some nice open ice here. Let's see what kind of creativity emerges as a result of it. As stripping the puck away is Devaney, trying to get it up the left wing to Dimmitt. Dimmitt forwards it ahead, but it's intercepted by Steve Brown, as Brown with a long stretch pass and no one was there. And it will be touched up for an easy icing just past 6 minutes gone by here in the first period.
What Steve Brown's looking for there is he's looking for Carter Shinkarik to really get on his horse on the red line. If remember, it's a hybrid icing, so if Shinkarik beats the defenseman down there, it's a good play. Unfortunately, Shinkarik didn't get the memo, and it's a defensive zone faceoff for Danbury.
Faceoff will be to the right of Tom McGuckin. It will be Shinkarik going up in the faceoff dot against Derek Boudreau. And it's won by Shinkarik as up comes Atwell. Saucer pass over to the left wing. Phil Bronner. Now lead pass, a give and go with Shinkarik. Bronner looking to the net, dragging the toe. Setting it up in front. Shinkarik's shot goes off the side of the net. Nifty stick work there from the big fella, Phil Bronner.
Yeah, he loves that move, too. Once he goes back to the toe drag, and him and Shinkarik, an early connection there on the top line. They look good together.
Boudreau entering in with Jurich. Jurich has the stick tied up, and a hard hit behind the play as Steve Brown brought down Boudreau. And Boudreau looking to the linesman and will not get a whistle as a result as Atwell drops it back for Levesque. Levesque crossing the way. Here's Atwell. Johnny Ruiz also in the offensive zone. It's a 4-on-3 right now as Cruz Listmayer comes over the boards to rejoin action. Jurich with a long pass to Boudreau. Boudreau crosses the blue line, trying to spin away from Listmayer. Listmayer will aggressively come up to check him. 45 seconds to go on the 4-on-4 before a power play is able to take place for the Wolves. Here's Ruiz entering in with Levesque. Ruiz with a wrist shot that is gloved out of the air by Pominville, and he'll hold with 40 seconds to go on the 4-on-4.
Not a fun shift there for Derek Boudreau as he gets crunched behind the net by big Steve Brown. He took another shot in front of a Danbury bench. Those are the kind of shifts you just want to go back to the bench, take a seat, kind of collect yourself for a minute. That's not fun.
Gavrick will be out there taking the face-off dot with Nick DiNicola to his right. In the high slot is Lenny Caglianone, and Cruz Listmayer will complete the 4-man unit. Taking the face-off draw for the Wolves is Dallas Desjardins, and he wins it back. Here's Devaney in the far side corner of his own zone, dropping it back, trying to get it back to Preston Kugler. Kugler is being checked by Gavrick. Gavrick trying to use his reach to get the puck out to DiNicola. DiNicola throws a hard check. DiNicola not the biggest guy out there on the ice, but throwing his weight around.
I'm wondering if these guys are getting paid by the hit today.
It's part of the incentive program. Here's Devaney spinning around in the neutral zone as Gavrick forechecking in front of him. Looking up the way to Desjardins. Still unable to break that blue line. It looks like they're holding on to it conservatively as it gets rifled into McGuckin's padding on his chest. There will be 2 seconds left in the 4-on-4 before the Wolves will get a power play. 7 minutes and 41 seconds gone by in the first period.
Yeah, give a lot of credit to the Hat-Tricks. 4 skaters on the ice there just locking that blue line down. You said it, Casey. There's no entry there for Watertown. They just have to, settle with an easy shot that McGuckin swallows up for a face-off. There's really not a lot of lanes that Watertown has found so far in this game other than that shorthanded goal, which is just a one-on-one beat.
So it's officially a power play for the Wolves as they go to work. The Danbury Hat-Tricks towards the bottom in penalty kill. They currently sit at 8th out of the 10 teams in penalty killing.
Yeah, they're only killing off 75.4%. The only teams who are worse than them are Delaware and Battle Creek. And
that's a low bar to clear.
Yeah, and no offense to those teams, but Danbury, that's certainly something that needs to improve.
Jurich with a lead pass. Here's Boudreau looking to the net, trying to pick a corner shot at high and wide. Keeping it in at the near side point is Powell. Looking around. Here's Barjul. Barjul crosses the way with a wrist shot. That's swallowed up by McGuckin, and he holds 1:16 to go in the power play before Martin Tuma is able to rejoin the action.
Not sure why that puck was shot right there. It was open passing lane, and Zach, you looked right down and said, you were probably thinking the same thing I was.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm looking at that. That suddenly becomes a 2-on-1 for the Watertown Wolves. If the puck carrier just picks his head up, Dominic Barjul is all alone in front of the net. That's an easy put-away goal.
Trying to wrap it out of the zone. Here's Phil Bronner. Bronner is cut off before he's able to streak in alone. Powell was there to cut the play off. Barjul will leave it over to his left. Entering in with a little bit of speed is Dimmitt. He'll stop short, get it out to Boudreau. Boudreau crossing the way, feeds Jurich. His shot blocker saved by McGuckin, and it's steered aside by Shinkarik.
Tyler Jurich doesn't get stopped from that range very often. Great save by McGuckin.
And Jurich, I'm sure, wanting to return to Danbury with some thunder after his time here in the FPHL as a former Danbury Titan. As on the doorstep, a setup in front is cleared out by Corey Anderson, and a roar of approval from the Danbury faithful here in attendance tonight.
And that was really the first play on this penalty kill for the Hat-Tricks where they had all the passing lanes covered up well, and that's why Anderson feeds off that deflection and gets that easy clear.
Dimmitt entering in on the right side. Listmayer trying to run him off, and he finishes his check against the boards. And it will be cleared once more. 15 seconds to go in Martin Tuma's penalty. 9.5 gone by in the first period. Pinching in. Here's Anderson. Has it on his backhand. Looking towards the net. Shot saved by Pominville. And he swipes at it with his paddle to get it out of the blue paint. And that will do it for the power play. Watertown Wolves officially 0 for 1 on the man advantage. Here's Boudreau trying to redirect it towards the net. It's taken aside by Atwell over towards the Hat-Tricks bench. And smart play by DiNicola to not hop on too soon, so a too many men penalty. DiNicola rings it off the iron and batted in by Atwell! Flip and rip at the hip! Aaron Atwell bangs it home!
For Atwell, it's only his second goal of the season, and what a skillful goal at that. Casey, you mentioned it. DiNicola, he doesn't come on the ice. Marty Tuma was coming off from the penalty box. If he touches it, it's too many men on the ice. Aaron Atwell sees this. He follows up on the pass, gives it to DiNicola, who rips one off the post, and Atwell, he's got a nose for the net, hits it out of midair. What talent by the defender.
Yeah, they were kind of scrambling for that puck in the blue paint, and Pominville was way out of position. It was just Atwell. You mentioned it, Zach. He just got to hit that thing out of the air. It's just him in the net at that point. It's a difficult shot because it's in the air, but he does it ever so cleanly and magnificently.
Difficult. He looked like a Danbury Westerner out there. As Nick DiNicola will get the primary assist, and Johnny Ruiz will get the secondary on the goal as a long wrist shot is fought off by McGuckin. A rebound try is kicked out with the toe and steered towards the corner by Bolin Porto.
See, that's a problem right there. McGuckin makes a good shoulder save. The rebound's there. There's 4 Hat-Tricks sitting right in the middle, and the one Watertown Wolf comes in and gets that rebound and puts it on net. They got to do a better job at clearing that rebound.
A Let's Go Hat-Tricks chant up from the crowd as they know what's on the line tonight. Danbury Hat-Tricks hungry for first place, which they have not seen all season long. Here's Levesque looking for Shinkarik across the way. It's intercepted and sent out into the neutral zone. Holding onto it is Kugler. Looking up the right wing, just out of reach for Boudreau. Pinching in is Lucas. McGuckin comes out of his net to steer it aside. Lucas, wire pass out to the center of the ice, dragging the toe and trying to get it around McGuckin and unable to. And another pass out in front is out of the zone. That was Dominic Bogjoul. Goodness me, McGuckin was way out of his net.
Way out of his net, but give credit to Carter Shinkarik because he was the one who actually shut things off on the post. Watertown's looking for the way to go. McGuckin's looking for the way back to the net, and Shinkarik really kept things settled.
Caglianone with a good job to lift the stick and entering in, gets it back to Shinkarik. Shinkarik looks to the net, wrist shot is eaten up by Pominville, and we've reached the media timeout with 8:21 to go in the first period, and the Danbury Hat-Tricks leading by a score of 2-1.
And Tom McGuckin's made some pretty big saves once again on that last one. He cuts off that angle, but you mentioned it, Zach. That net's gaping. And Carter Shinkarik, who we praised his puck-moving ability, his ability to find himself on the score sheet, 11 points in 9 games coming into today. He looks good defensively, too. But there's too many plays where the Hat-Tricks are all looking one way, and the puck finds their way back to the back door. And we mentioned it at the beginning of the season versus Port Huron on the road, their first series. We saw that a lot, especially on the penalty kill, getting lost in their own zone, and then guys are wide open. Luckily, Tom McGuckin's made those saves.
You're absolutely right, because on that last one, you had 4 Danbury hat-tricks looking at the puck as it's on the near side wall. Suddenly, it just goes across to the slot, and now it's the guy's all by himself in front of the net. We saw Tyler Jurich with a fantastic opportunity from the same exact spot just minutes ago. Tom McGuckin, he has made 6 saves on 7 shots, 6 saves on 7 shots, and boy, they haven't been of the easy variety.
Absolutely not, as we have a faceoff coming back into the Watertown zone as Jeremy Pominville will be directing traffic with Kyle Powell in front of his net as the Watertown Wolves will look to close off a defensive zone faceoff. Anderson wins it back, but it will be skating up the ice. Jurich now crossing the way to Bogjoul. Bogjoul entering in on Steve Brown, looking to drop it back. Getting a stick on it is Nick DiNicola. Out to the near side point. Here's Port with a long shot, getting a stick on it, Boudreau, and it goes up into the netting. And we'll have a stoppage of play with 8:05 to go in the first.
That's good puck movement on the outside there for Watertown. You're seeing it a lot. They like to go back to the defenseman. They'll fire a shot in, try to get some traffic. And the passing has been very, very good over the last 3 or 4 minutes or so for Watertown, thanks to the defensive woes the Hat-Tricks are showing.
And, you take a look at Watertown's team. They are pretty top-heavy. Tyler Jurich comes in with 30 points. Derek Boudreau with 26 points. Kyle Powell, the defenseman. Jack, to your point, 2 goals, 23 assists. His 25 points are tops for defensemen in the league.
And right now the Hat-Tricks bench is frustrated as initially they were going to rule that the shot went out clean and that the faceoff would be in the neutral zone. Now the linesman overruling that decision, and the faceoff will come back into the Hat-Tricks zone. So a defensive zone draw for the Hat-Tricks.
Yeah, it looked to me like that went clean off Boudreau's shaft, but all right, play on.
So the Wolves get an offensive zone shift out of the deal as Bogjoul in the near side corner doing work against Kendall Bolin Porter. He's getting support there from Boudreau, but it's Bolin Porter able to escape with the puck. Now up the right wing, here's Matthias Kasich with Gordy Bunnell to his left. Kasich looking towards the net. Pominville threw a poke check and whiffed on it. Here's Bunnell keeping it alive in the corner, getting away from one defender as Kasich in front finds him, and it's just lifting the stick from behind was Bogjoul. A good play by number 47 out there in the silver and black. Here's Boudreau entering in, drops it over to a long shot from the far side off the stick of the captain, Jurich, and it will be held by McGuckin.
Oh, Kendall Bolin Porter just dodged a bullet. He went to go, he was looking for a check on Dominic Bogjoul. He missed, and the door actually opened on the Danbury Hat-Tricks bench. Good job, or good to see that Bolin Porter wasn't injured, but it's the Danbury Hat-Tricks team that's injured. They're going on the penalty kill.
Yeah, it'll be a Matthias Kasich slash that sends him to the box there, Jack.
Yeah, it was on the backside of the play. He just got the stick was a little bit too high, come down a little bit. Easy call for the official.
Faceoff will be to McGuckin's left. It will be Boudreau, who has seemingly been out there every other shift out there with Jurich and Cameron Dimmitt. As down the length of the ice it will go, the Watertown Wolves will have to go the full 200 feet in order to find the back of the net. Holding on to it leisurely is Powell. Now escapes from behind his own net, finds Dimmitt on the left side, crossing the way for Boudreau. Entering in with Bokjul completing the 5-man unit. Martin Tuma out there with Steve Mealy, Carter Shinkarik, and Phil Bronner on the penalty kill. Here's Bokjul looping it around the perimeter. Jurich gives chase. Jurich looking to cycle it down low. Bokjul swings and misses at a puck in the air. Mealy gets to it first. Mealy trying to pitchfork it out of the zone, but it's kept in by Dimmitt. Has Boudreau in front of the net. Mealy has it kicking around in his skates. Taken and settled now by the Wolves. Boudreau along to Dimmitt on the far side midboards. Checked from behind by Tuma. Mealy gets to the puck first, but Bokjul strips him from behind. Set up in front. What a stop by McGuckin! He got the knob of his stick on it. Another redirection goes up into the netting.
That's the third time now. The third time that the Watertown Wolves have been alone in front of the net of Tom McGuckin, and for the third time, McGuckin has come up huge for the hat trick.
And you have to give credit to Boudreau was in there as well as Dimmitt. They were hounding Steve Mealy multiple times. Mealy might have had 3 chances to clear the puck, and he just couldn't get it on the right edge of his stick. Just couldn't find his way out of the zone. He gets his stick lifted right in the slot area, and that's what created that chance. And Tom McGuckin bails out his defense once again.
Well, Derek Boudreau will not be denied for too many times, as he has 11 goals and 15 assists on the year. As what do we have here? We have a whistle.
Offsides.
Yeah, just in offsides with about 100 or so linesmen, including Nick Niederton, right down at the bottom of your screens helping out the boys in the stripes. But 56 seconds to go on the power play. Danbury's penalty kill's got to settle things down.
50 seconds and a crossing the way. Here's Powell. Now over by the Wolves bench, Jurich looking over to Boudreau. They've been out there for the full power play shift. It comes out into the neutral zone. Dimmitt settles it down. Crossing over to the center of the ice, Jurich from the left wing will loop it around the perimeter. Here's Bokjul pinching in. Over to Jurich. The Wolves being so far limited to the perimeter in this shift. Here's Listmayer getting to it first, kissing it off the glass, but unable to clear. Here's Powell down to Bokjul as Boudreau in the bumper position and Jurich at the near side circle. It will be one-handed out of the zone by Bolin Porter. Bolin Porter off to the races. He's in one-on-one to Boudreau. A shot saved. A rebound kicking around out in front, and it's taken away by Powell. 10 seconds to go in the power play. Entering in is Dimmitt. Dimmitt looks to the net. That one's swallowed up by McGuckin, and he holds.
I appreciate the enthusiasm of Lenny Caglianone there, but as a defenseman on the penalty kill, you cannot be the third player in offensively. It turns into a 2-on-1 from the Watertown blue line in, and who bails him out again but Tom McGuckin.
Yeah, it was actually a really good play on the back end. I think it was Steve Brown who played that so well. There was no passing lane, and the only option was to shoot that puck. McGuckin got big. I think he caught it up in the mask area, and he was able to swallow the rebound, too. That's a tough rebound-controlled shot. He does a good job there.
4 ticks of the clock separate us from 5-on-5 action before Matthias Kasich is able to rejoin the party. It will be one last offensive zone draw for the Watertown Wolves, with the Hat-Tricks protecting a 2-1 lead with 5:32 to go in the first period. Desjardins will be taking the draw against Nick Levesque. Levesque will be booted, and Shinkarik will replace him. So a pair of Canadians went in, and Carter Shinkarik will pick up the slack as a pair of Canadians exit, as Shinkarik hails from Canada as well, British Columbia. We're back to 5-on-5 hockey. Entering in now is Nico Levesque as a backhander goes wide of the net. 5:15 to go in the first period as here comes Desjardins on the left side. Desjardins looking across the way. It went off of the stick of Aaron Atwell. Kugler will leave it in the zone. Desjardins will backhand it ahead. Picking it off is Marvin Powell. Leaves it for Lucas behind the net, the lone goal scorer so far for the Watertown Wolves. He's being checked from behind by Aaron Atwell. Shinkarik and Powell go behind the end line. Lucas trying to get it back to the point. It hops over the stick of Kugler. And now here comes Levesque entering in with speed. Levesque has a defender in front of him. Stops short. Gets it out to Gavrik. His shot goes off of the shoulder of Pominville and off the glass. And here come the Wolves in transition. Here comes Lucas entering in on the blue, crossing the blue line. Dropping it back to Pawlowski. We have a man down as Lucas is down holding his upper body. As play is resuming, Martin Tuma will touch it up, and Lucas looked like he got hit up high as he was entering into the zone.
Yeah, it was incidental contact with Aaron Atwell. It's just a weird collision between the two of them, and you could see Lucas writhing in pain down there. They kept the play going because Watertown had possession in the attacking zone, and as soon as it came to Tuma's stick, that's when they stopped play.
So Lucas will be tended to by the trainers, and we'll get a stoppage in play with 4:25 to go in the first period.
You know, taking a look at what happened, I don't know if it's the upper body. It could be a leg as well, because Lucas, he was in a very awkward position. He got crunched on both sides by a pair of Danbury hat tricks. So hope that he can get back to his feet and get back in this game soon. You never want to see players injured out on the ice. Lee Day of the Danbury training staff helping Lucas up. And he'll get a look taken at him. 4:25 to go here in the first period, and well, we'll wait to see if he comes back in time for the second.
That's correct, as Pawlowski was taking his first shift since getting roughed up a bit by Martin Tuma. And the shots on goal battle right now, it's been a very back and forth period, guys. The shots on goal right now, as Lucas gets up to his feet and skates off under his own power, it's 9-9 in the shot on goal battle right now. And Jack, we've seen a lot of north-south chances for both sides here.
Yeah, and it was all Danbury. They had the first few shifts. They were dominating play in the offensive zone, but since then, Watertown's just found a rhythm on the offensive zone, and Tom McGuckin, both goaltenders, being faced with some high-rising shots. Pominville's used his shoulders well. And as for McGuckin, I mean, he's used pretty much every part of his goaltender equipment repertoire.
Well, he's had to.
Yeah. His mask, his blocker, pads, stick.
Well, speaking of pads, he has a newly decorated set of leg pads on his legs.
Oh, they look good.
He's got a little bit of orange accenting. He saw Nick Niedert's set up and said, anything you can do, I can do better.
It's a good look for Tom McGuckin. He was wearing just an all-white getup before, and yeah, sure, that's kind of normal, but quite frankly, it's kind of boring. I like seeing the color. Give me some vibrancy out there.
Well, that's what the FPHL should all be all about, right? Make your mark. As Steve Mealy fields the puck and lifts it up towards the Watertown bench, it'll be settled down by Asselstein. Entering in is Bolin Porter, wrist shot off the mask of Pominville. And it'll be sent out into the neutral zone. Boy, Pominville has faced a lot of shots high, and it doesn't look like he's wholly comfortable yet receiving the puck as opposed to fighting with it.
I don't know if it's because the shots are coming up high or because Danbury's doing such a good job of using the Watertown defenseman as a screen.
That's true.
We saw that on the DiNicola shot.
2-on-1. Here's Mealy in with Bunnell. Mealy getting around. Here's Bunnell crossing the way, and a good breakup from behind by Asselstein. As Asselstein lifted the stick of Bunnell, and it looked like the pass was just behind him as well. Pawlowski racing back for the puck will settle it down and get it over to his defender, Kyle Powell. Now across the way to Vladimir Port. Pitch and catch with Powell as he crosses his own blue line, looks to his right and finds a man. It's Boudreau entering in on Atwell. As Bogjoul setting up shop in front of McGuckin. Stripping a man from behind is Aaron Atwell, and up the right wing he comes with 3:05 to go in the first period. Here's Atwell trying to get around one defender. Vladimir Port cuts him off, but the puck is kept alive behind the end line. Here's Anderson. Anderson trying to deke away. Here's Kasich now in the far side circle. Looking for Ruiz in between the hash marks. Can't connect with him, and it's sent out into the neutral zone once more, as Caglianone will cut it off.
Yeah, it's a blind pass there for Ruiz. You just can't do that. It's just, you want to take care of the puck inside the attacking zone. Danbury hasn't had a ton of chances.
Oh, interception, and Jarrett shoots it right into the rabbit on the center of the sweater of Tom McGuckin. And boy, you cannot give too many open looks to Jurich like that.
No, again, everybody here who has gone to a Danbury Titans game, they know what Tyler Jurich can do. Some of these players on that hat tricks, they were on that Titans team. They were teammates with Tyler Jurich. I don't know why they keep putting it on his stick. You give him too many opportunities, he's going to find the back of the net eventually.
They think he's still on his team.
Perhaps.
Jurich enters the game with 16 goals and 14 assists in 16 games. He has one of the most impressive repertoires in the entire FPHL. He's up there with Ahmed Mahfouz and even his teammate Derek Boudreau, who, for his credit, has points in all 16 games so far in the FPHL season.
Not bad.
What a top line that is for Watertown. You can see why they're in the position they're in. In the near side corner, now looking up the center of the ice, here's Desjardins entering in, has Petrick to his left. Excuse me, that's Petrie. Bronner on the right wing now as we hit the 2-minute warning in the first period. Here's Shinkaruk crossing red line, blue line, entering in with Levesque. Drops it back. Levesque has it on his backhand, looking towards the net. It hit off of the legs of his own man in Shinkaruk. Kept in by Levesque once more. Bronner at the far side circle, being hampered from behind, and it looks like there will be a delayed penalty as a result. McGuckin to the bench. Atwell cycles it over to Mealy at the far side circle. Johnny Ruiz joins as the extra skater. looking for Levesque in the far side corner. Levesque trying to get it to himself. It will be Petrie getting there first, and now they will blow the whistle after a split second, and it will be a hook being called as Phil Bronner able to draw the penalty.
Yeah, he's done so well all season long with those plays, using his body and his size to just motor through defense, and you can only do so much. It was actually a really good play at the beginning there for Petrie, and then he just kind of got locked up. Eventually you get beat with a guy that size.
You're absolutely right, Jack. That's a penalty, and that's a power play that the Danbury Hat-Tricks get because of hard work. And, well, with a minute and a half left, they have the 2-1 lead. Their first power play, they gave up a shorthanded goal. They want to try and change things around a bit for this one.
It was Jamie Lucas who potted that shorthanded goal, and he's not out on the ice yet, but we'll keep an eye on when he is as Bolin Porter spins away with the puck. Here's Di Nicola behind the net. Bunnell, Atwell, and Gafford complete the five-man unit. As trying to get it out of the zone is Powell, and it will be Derek Boudreau holding it at the red line, and will bank it back, and Gordy Bunnell was well offside.
That should be offsides.
That should not be offsides. It was played into the Watertown zone by a Watertown player. That's a good play by Gordy Bunnell, and it should not have led to a whistle.
So 107, nevertheless, the faceoff will be out in front of the Watertown bench as Kendall Bolin Porter will be in the faceoff dot. Nobody on the Danbury bench making too big of a stink out of it. As here's Nick Di Nicola now spinning around, retreating a bit, and will elect to set up shot from behind his own net. 1:30 to go in the power play, 1 minute to go in the period. As up the left wing, Vladislav Gavrik, a pass went off of his stick, and he'll chase after it. Gets it over to Bolin Porter on the left wing. Desjardins pursuing him. Di Nicola crossing the way to Aaron Atwell. Atwell looking to the net, looking to redirect it, chops it down instead is Gavrik. Bunnell. Down low to Gavrik as Bolin Porter in front, gets to Di Nicola, and he can't get the shot towards the net. Di Nicola holds once more. Calling forward and receiving is Atwell with 33 seconds to go in the period. Long shot gloved out of the air by Pominville, and he holds.
I don't hate the shot by Aaron Atwell there. It's not one that's going to find the back of the net, but it forces a whistle and it forces a face-off down low. But you look at how aggressive the Watertown penalty kill is. Danbury, as long as they move the puck around the perimeter, things will open up. If they take too long, though, Watertown, they're going to take advantage.
Ooh, and ringing it off the crossbar, and now a shot by Levesque is fought up by Pominville. Another try, squibs just wide. Pominville is down, and now he gets back up to his knees and finally to his skates. Anderson out to Ruiz with 20 seconds to go. Shinkarik to Ruiz, the far side point, mishandles the puck. It's intercepted by the Wolves, and Boudreau is cut off by Ruiz. 10 seconds to go in the period. Ruiz with one last rush opportunity as Anderson in front. Ruiz loops the perimeter, has 2 seconds and one. A sharp angled try off the stick of Levesque goes well wide, and that will do it. 28 seconds to go in the power play as we enter into the first intermission. The Hat-Tricks lead 2-1 here at the end of 20 minutes, and guys, what a period that was in terms of action back and forth. A lot of moments where you're holding your breath on either side as the Danbury Hat-Tricks hit one final post. That's their third one of the period.
Yeah, there's great pressure there on that last power play sequence. It's almost unfortunate for the Hat-Tricks that it's broken up by the intermission, because then you have the 28 seconds remaining there. But a really, really great play for Watertown to come out of the gate. They scored that shorthanded goal, again, by Jamie Lucas, and that kind of set the table. But, again, the Hat-Tricks didn't roll over and die in this situation. They responded right away. Mattias Kasich ties the game up on a really, really nice play shot. And then you get that second goal once again, and it's helping this team. Their responses have been so good, and that's why they continue to find ways to win games, is because when they're down or when things get tied up, they respond right after. It doesn't take them very long to find a goal.
And we saw that last night as well with the Danbury Hat-Tricks and Watertown Wolves trading leads, trading chances, and it was the Danbury Hat-Tricks that eventually prevailed because of their ability, Zach, to keep clawing their way back in when it seems like they should be down and out.
And we spoke about it during the pregame. It was that weekend against Elmira where they had to keep coming back, and then they won. And then the next game, they had to keep coming back, and they win again. This team knows that they can claw their way back into these games, but let me tell you, it's much easier when you don't have to. They've got the 2-1 lead right now. Tighten things up defensively. The goals will come. They're getting the opportunities. They're out shooting the Wolves by a 13-10 margin. settle it down defensively. That's the best way to get a victory here.
Well, it was penalties and turnovers, Jack, that almost led to the Danbury Hat-Tricks' downfall against Delaware, of course, last weekend. So what will Billy McCreary be saying to his squad to help tighten up the defense?
I think guys just play smarter in your own zone, make passes that are up towards the blue line. You don't want to go across circle to circle when there are Wolves in that zone, when they're forechecking. Just be smarter with the puck in your own end. You're going to have better plays, and I would say a little bit more spacing from the defensive unit. Sometimes it's been tightened up. We saw a couple of players collide behind Watertown's net in the middle of the ice, and they're on the same team. I think spacing is going to be one of the things that he has to preach in the first intermission.
Well, we're through 20 minutes here at Danbury Arena. You're watching Danbury Hat-Tricks Hockey on the Hat-Tricks YouTube channel. Casey Bryant alongside Jack O'Mara and Zach McGinnis. We'll be back momentarily for live coverage of the second period of the Danbury Hat-Tricks as they take on the Watertown Wolves in a battle for Eastern Division supremacy. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for live coverage of the Danbury Hat-Tricks as they battle the Watertown Wolves. We're getting ready for the start of the second period, but first it's time for the FPHL out-of-town scoreboard. Here's Zach McGinnis.
Thanks, Casey. Out in Michigan, the Port Huron Prowlers have a 1-0 lead through 2 periods of play over the Columbus River Dragons. Columbus really struggling lately. They've strung together a couple losses. Scott Brand and his crew, they got to turn some things around. Meanwhile, out in Carolina, with a minute 18 remaining in the third period, Elmira and Carolina tied at 3, overtime looming there. Carolina with a 15-1 record coming into this game. They are in first place overall in the Federal Hockey League. Out in Ohio, the Mentor Icebreakers, well, they've got a 5-2 victory over the Battle Creek Rumblebees. The Rumblebees with an 0-18 record. We're rooting for them over here, but it doesn't look like things are going to work out for them in Ohio tonight. Meanwhile, down in Delaware, in Harrington, at the Delaware State Fairgrounds, the Danville Dashers and the Delaware Thunder, they're tied at 1 through 2 periods of play. And right here in Danbury, the Hat-Tricks with a 2-1 lead over the Watertown Wolves in that first period. Watertown got things started. A shorthanded goal by Jamie Lucas at the 2:36 mark. Derek Boudreau and Preston Kugler getting the assists. Mattias Kasich and Aaron Atwell with a pair of goals in 5 minutes. That made it 2-1 in favor of the Hat-Tricks, and that's the lead that they have coming into the second period. Casey, Jack, shots are 13-10 right now coming into the second. Jack, you mentioned what Danbury has to do going into the second period, but during the intermission, we had a chance to speak with some of the fans around here. A pretty nice crowd here again at the Danbury Arena.
Yeah, absolutely. The fans have come out, and they're excited because of how hot this team is playing right now, and they're really, really praising this matchup, and I was agreeing with them in that we're going to see a lot of the Watertown Wolves, I think, moving forward, and each one of these games is going to be a grind fest. We got a good one so far.
And Casey, you mentioned, Jack, to your point about seeing the Watertown Wolves kind of often. Casey, this is the first of 4 games, or rather the second of 4 games in a row against Watertown.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone and their mother knows what's at stake here in both this weekend and next. I mean, this is an opportunity for both sides to provide themselves some much-needed breathing room, because the Eastern Division right now is neck and neck and neck and neck, because we haven't even touched on the fact that Mentor is breathing down Watertown and Danbury's respective necks, and you've got Elmira looming in the distance, and honestly, Delaware may be a distant 5th, but they have not been playing that poorly. They've started to get a couple of wins under their belt recently. I mean, this is an Eastern Division that is a very, very tough place to play.
Yeah, we saw them 2 weekends ago, and they made the Hat-Tricks work. They weren't breezed by victories. They were tough games. The first scoreline won't say that, because there was an empty net goal. Nick DiNicola went off late in that game. It was not a 7-4 final, and there was a 1-goal game in the second game.
And a redirection in front as Phil Bronner got a stick on it. We're back to even strength as that shot goes wide of the net mouth. And if nothing else, the Eastern Division is certainly a lot tighter in terms of who's going to make the playoffs than out west, where, considering it's an 8-team playoff format and the top 4 from each division make the playoffs, you don't want to say that it's over, but goodness me. Here's Corey Anderson entering in, a wrist shot is swallowed up by Pominville, but to complete my point, there's everyone, and then there's Battle Creek.
Battle Creek, right now they're losing to Mentor 5-2.
Oh, boy.
Odds are they will fall to 0-19 on the season. It is the worst start to a Federal Hockey League season for any team in the 10-year history of the Federal League. Overall, in minor league hockey, 0-22 is the mark that you really want to avoid. That belongs to the Wichita Thunder of the old Central Hockey League at the beginning of this decade.
Cruz Listmeyer staple guns a man against the boards, but he will be called for a holding as Watertown tried to enter in on the right side, and it will be Cruz Listmeyer taking a visit to the sin bin. And we get a power play opportunity, the first of the period for the Watertown Wolves, 1:13 gone by.
Yeah, Dimmitt just kind of snuck by Listmeyer on those boards just behind the goal line, and Listmeyer brings his left arm, the arm off the stick, into the equation. Usually that ends in holding.
And when you get that free arm involved, it rarely works out in your favor. So Watertown goes back onto the power play. They're 0 for 2 so far.
Here's Dimmitt holding it at the near side circle, has Jurich to his left. He's got Bajul down low, and a set up in front for Boudreau. His shot and a pad save by McGuckin. Here's Dimmitt. Once more to Bajul. He's got Boudreau setting up in between the hash marks. Out to the high slot, Powell crossing the way. Jurich gets the heel of the stick on it, and it goes up into the netting. Well, I believe they'll say it was deflected.
And it looks like that one went off the blocker of Tom McGuckin, but McGuckin doing a good job staying low to the ice. A shot on goal by Boudreau. There was some daylight there, but McGuckin able to flare his legs out in the butterfly, keeps it out.
Faceoff will be to McGuckin's right. Dimmitt once more taking the faceoff draw, and Watertown seemingly going just with a 5-man unit for every single power play. As Boudreau at the far side circle, has Bajul between the hash marks, down low looking for the redirection, getting a stick on it, but unable to get it past McGuckin was Dimmitt. Now Jurich loses the handle on it, long enough for Martin Tuma to clear it down the length of the ice. 1:20 to go in the power play.
And McGuckin made a really nice play there because he bought over to his right a little bit. The puck took a weird carom off the boards behind him, and he kept that right pad down low, so he made the rebound save.
A shot attempt goes off the legs of Marty Tuma, and now trying to get it out to the far side point, looking for Powell, and stymieing the play is Phil Bronner. Now springing a short-hand attempt, here's Shinkarik entering in with Tuma. Shinkarik looks to the net, that's off the neck protector of Pominville, and his neck protector comes off his mask.
Well, that's why the goalies wear them, and he's going to need a visit from the Watertown equipment manager, Colin Coe, stepping in for Watertown today. But, well, you know, it's a 2-on-1 shorthanded opportunity. You know, neither team's penalty kills really looked too good so far in this game. Great shot selection by Carter Shinkarik. Marty Tuma, he's driving to the near side post. That forces the defender over to him. It forces the goaltender to respect that pass as well. And then Shinkarik, well, he saw some daylight up top. Hey, you know, if you're a goaltender Pominville, you make the save however you could. That one, a little close for comfort.
And that's a tricky shot there by Shinkarik because he had his body fully squared to Marty Tuma, faking Pominville into thinking that he was committed to the pass. At the last second, he spins his shoulders, Jack, and is still able to get a strong wrist shot off to Pominville.
Yeah, that's a great carry in there for Shinkarik, and I think it was the right decision, too. When the player's playing the pass, the defender's playing the pass, Shinkarik's playing well enough that he can get that puck on net. And, guys, Pominville went to the bench. That's a fresh mask. That's not even his mask. He grabbed it from one of the backup goaltenders and slapped it on.
Yeah, good eye, Jack, because that is not his mask, so it'll fit him right. But, you know, his vision, it's going to be a little different. Let's see if Danbury can take advantage of it before that mask gets repaired.
Yep, that is the mask of backup goaltender Christopher Marcillo, who is dressed tonight as the backup. 4 goaltenders on the active roster for the Watertown Wolves, 2 dressed. Will Harvey will be scratched, as is Blake Scott.
Meanwhile, Marcillo, the backup for Watertown tonight, actually the starting goaltender at Rutgers University for the last few years.
There you go.
ACHA.
As here's Bennell tying a man up in the near side. 10 seconds to go on the power play for Listmeyer, but here's a 2-on-1, and we get a whistle behind the play. As brought down was Kyle Powell, and that negates what would have been a shorthanded 2-on-1, and some voices of disapproval up from the Danbury Hat-Tricks faithful, as it will be 5-on-3 for 6 seconds. Gordy Bennell will take a seat in the penalty box. Cruz Listmeyer will be able to rejoin the action in 6 seconds.
You know, let's see how head coach Billy McCreary handles this, because Listmeyer as a defenseman, especially with the face-off in the defensive zone and only 6 seconds left on his penalty, he should be beelining directly into the zone. They've got Atwell out there along with Shinkarik and Tumo. Let's see if they stick with 3 defenders.
Well, depending on how Watertown fields this face-off, you may need Listmeyer to just go streaking into the zone and protect the front of the net, as Shinkarik is able to get a key face-off win, trying to clear it out, but it's broken up. Shinkarik turns around, spins and fires, and that's a key moment there for Shinkarik, as Listmeyer thinks about pursuing the puck, but will go to the bench. Savvy play by Shinkarik to get the puck out of the zone. Here's Boudreau over on the right side. It's 1:40 to go now in 5-on-4 action for the Watertown Wolves. Power to the right wing. Boudreau enters in on Tuma. Has Jurich switching places with him. Jurich will retreat ever so slightly back towards the red line. Now Devaney gets it over to Boudreau. Now back to Devaney in the far side corner. He's being hampered from behind by Tuma. Long shot, redirection in front. Jurich shot saved by McGuckin. Another try blocked in front by Atwell. Aaron Atwell diving headlong into the net, keeps the puck out of the back of the net.
I have no idea how that puck does not hit nylon. The first save by McGuckin's unbelievable. Great traffic in front of the net for Watertown, and then he's on his backside. The net's gaping open, and Watertown just can't hit it.
You know, if you're a member of the Watertown Wolves, you got to start asking yourself, what do we have to do to beat this guy? They score on the first shot of the game, and McGuckin has been perfect since then. He's gotten some help from his defenders. Aaron Atwell coming up big in that opportunity. My goodness.
Aaron Atwell blocked 2 different shots on the goal line there, if I read the play correctly. The second one was the most impressive because it's almost like threat level midnight kind of diving headlong in front of a bullet like you see in the movies.
And, you know, for Atwell, that was his second shot, or rather, at the beginning of this power play, he blocked another shot with the inside of his foot, and he saw it. He was hobbled for a second, but he stayed out there. He had that 2-on-1, and, well, then he had the penalty to Gordy Bunnell. But, boy, Atwell playing a fantastic game tonight for Danbury.
Aaron Atwell was able to hoist the barrel with Litchfield Distillery in the last home game here at Danbury Arena back on the 7th, and in recognition of his stellar two-way play, recognizing the spirit of hard work as we hoist the barrel after every hat-tricks win here at Danbury Arena with Litchfield Distillery. Entering in is Bogjoul on the left side as Dimmitt to the net. Boudreau is setting up in between the hash marks. Powell and Jurich complete the 5-man unit with 50 seconds to go on the power play. Here's Bogjoul out to Powell. Has Bullen Porter in front of him. Quick passing, gets it down low to the post. Now it's a Bogjoul, a one-timer, they score! Dominic Bogjoul is able to bury it. McGuckin got a piece of it, but not enough. We're tied at 2.
And that whole play is Boudreau in the middle. He's the guy who's moving it up and down and creating those passes in the middle. He's been great all night with his ability to move the puck there. It just gets into an open spot. It goes off of McGuckin and in. That's a tough stop, but I mean, Watertown just put on a clinic in the offensive zone there. Great puck movement.
Oh, the puck movement was fantastic. Watertown comes into this game with the best power play in the league, and you know what? When you can pass around like that, tic-tac-toe all the way.
Entering back in, crossing the ways and shooting it just wide was Vlad Gavrik. Oh, Gavrik had a yawning net mouth in front of him as quickly back into the zone came the hat tricks. Corey Anderson with a nice backhand pass.
Yeah, it's such a good feed, and then Gavrik, again, just roofs it high. He's got to hit that net there because Pominville's sprawling to his left. So if you sneak it down low, you might be able to beat him by the glove area. Instead, he roofs it high, and Pominville, he kicked the net off so the puck stays in the zone.
Bogjoul, by the way, gets his 6th goal of the season. That's his 11th point in 11 games in a Watertown uniform. Another player who just seemingly can score at will for the Watertown Wolves. Behind the end line it goes. Here's Devaney doing battle in the near side corner. Has Pawlowski out there with him providing support. Anderson turns around for the black and orange, and up the ice on the right wing is Gavrik. Picking off the puck is Sunstabo. Asselstein now up the left wing. Here's Pawlowski entering in. Drops it back to Lucas in his first shift since getting roughed up a bit in the first period. Lucas is pinned against the wall by Tuma. Ruiz picks up the puck and dishes it to Gavrik. Keeping his feet moving, gets around Sunstabo. Sunstabo loses his footing a bit. Gavrik. Backhand pass out to the point. Mealy pinching in, trying to get around a defender. Pawlowski lost his footing a bit there. Mealy still holding on to it as he's getting ridden into the boards. Shinkaruk intended for the blue line Gavrik, but his pass was just out of reach, and it will go back towards the hat-trick zone. 5 minutes and 45 seconds gone by here in the second period. We're tied at 2. As Shinkaruk loops it around the perimeter, as Nicola Levesque will do battle behind the end line. They get it out to Brown. Looks to the net, a wrist shot, and jumping up for it a bit and getting a blocker on it was Pominville. Shinkaruk will dish it back to Atwell. Now slides it back up to Shinkaruk, who maneuvers it to Levesque. Now slides it over to Bronner. Bronner wiring it down low for Shinkaruk. It rolled off his stick. Loose puck still in the high slot. Desjardins is able to get it up the ice, but it will be picked off by Brown. Whacking it back into the zone is Bronner. It will maintain the perimeter. Asselstein leaves it. It's taken away by the hat-tricks. Once more entering into the zone. Back to Shinkaruk. Getting around Asselstein, looking for the backdoor pass. Levesque couldn't get the full meat of his stick on it. Extended shift here for the hat-tricks. Here's Levesque in the far side corner. Harassed from behind by Asselstein. Cycles it down low to Shinkarik. He loses his footing. He's being ridden into the boards from his knees. Levesque has it squib off his stick, and here comes Dimmitt the other way. Chips it ahead. Here's Marvin Powell behind the end line. Powell brought down from behind by the stick of Aaron Atwell. Powell from his knees is able to get it on the far side post, and McGuckin holds. 6 minutes, 58 seconds gone by.
That's great possession there for the Hat-Tricks. They didn't get much to the net, though. I mean, a couple of high shots again. Pominville blocked that one away. A couple of shots go wide. And it's Shinkarik who's on that ice for the whole time. The best play was the backdoor pass down low for Levesque, who was waiting on that near side post, and he just had his stick lifted enough by Desjardins, and that what's kept the puck out of the net.
Good defensive play by Desjardins, because if he's not there, if he's not doing exactly what he did, Levesque gives Danbury the 3-2 lead.
Here's Bonnell on the left wing, intended for Bolin Porter out of his reach. Bogjoul trying to forward it ahead, gets it up to Jurich, who will simply shovel it forward. Boudreau will pursue. Boudreau is met by Caglianone, wearing a Hat-Trick sweater for the second time this season. A recent acquisition who most recently played with the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs in the SPHL. The Matawan, New Jersey native.
Yeah, coming up out of the New Jersey Rockets program, their best alumni is John Carlson of the Washington Capitals.
Well, they are a hockey factory down there in Jersey with the Rockets program. Many notable alumni have come through there. And you've got a lot of great junior hockey programs that are down in Jersey. You've got the Rockets program. You've got the Hitmen program. You've got a lot. You've got Don Bosco Prep down there, who's a factory of good athletes.
Do not get me started on Don Bosco Prep.
Well, you are the Jersey boy here.
I know. I had to play against them twice a year. It wasn't my idea of a good time.
Well, we've got all three states of the tri-state area represented up
there
here
you
in the
go.
booth. I'm from New York. Jack, you're from Connecticut. Zach, you're from New Jersey.
I got the longest commute out of all of you.
And you let us know about it.
I usually I have time to.
The faceoff will be out in the neutral zone. Johnny Ruiz will go up against Pawlowski. Johnny Ruiz, who's also a Jersey boy.
Yeah, native of Williamstown, New Jersey.
Which is right nearby where Tom McGuckin is from.
Yes, he is McGuckin from Clayton, New Jersey. The two towns are actually connected by the Clayton-Williamstown Road. They should like to keep it simple down in South Jersey.
There you go, easy to remember. As the puck goes off the back of the skates, turnover now for the Hat-Tricks. A shot gets covered up by Pominville, and we'll get a whistle after the play as Gavrik was brought down from behind by Asselstein.
It's going to result in a boarding call that goes against Asselstein, as he definitely rode Gavrik into the boards. But, boy, talk about Danbury being opportunistic, as it was Sanstebo who took that. It looked like he took it to the calf. He didn't like where that puck hit him. Very little padding back there, and it turns into an offensive opportunity for Danbury. Now they'll go onto the power play once again.
And guys, it's not a smart penalty for Asselstein. He did his job on his man. In that situation, give him a little shoulder bump, but that's about it. He takes a silly penalty there, and now the Wolves have to kill off another power play.
Atwell turns around, tries to get it down low, but it will be cleared out, and here comes Boudreau on the left wing. Has Lucas up with him. Lucas has a shorty already today. Boudreau turns and fires. Just getting a skate on it was McGuckin.
And Boudreau took a knock in his last shift. He got hit in the left arm. He came up a little bit limber with that arm. Doesn't miss a beat. He's back on the ice.
And he was pointing towards it as he made his way towards the bench after a short shift. But now dishes it to Bolin Porter. Rings it off the iron again. Ooh, the puck finding that red-painted cage.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of room there, but Bolin Porter nearly found it.
Gavrik crosses the way to Atwell, dishes it to DiNicola. Bolin Porter in the slot. It chops down off his stick. Bunnell at the near side corner. Has a man in front of him in Kugler. Out to Gavrik at the point. Crosses the C's to Atwell. Has DiNicola to his right. Redirection in front by Bolin Porter. Goes wide of the net and will be cleared as we're halfway through the power play and 9 minutes into the second period.
Yeah, you got to get a harder shot attempt coming from the point there. Like the idea, again, traffic in front. It was both Bolin Porter and Bunnell who were sitting in front of the goal. It hit the first sticking Bolin Porter and just went wide.
DiNicola loops around the zone. Has Shinkarik at the near side point, is stripped from behind by Boudreau, and a 2-on-1 shorthanded. Here comes Pawlowski, drops it back to Boudreau. Boudreau looking for the backdoor pass that's broken up by Shinkarik. And a furious back check prevents that chance. But we're not out of the woods yet, as here's another shot attempt that's broken up by Ruiz.
That's an unbelievable back check by Carter Shinkarik. He's beat.
Here's Levesque now looking for Di Nicola. Can't get a stick on it. As open ice now starting to take shape. Here's Ruiz spinning around with the puck in his skates. It goes out into the neutral zone. 5 seconds to go in the power play. That will just about do it for offensive chances for the Hat-Tricks at 5-on-4. Out of the box is Asselstein, and we settle things down. Over towards the Watertown bench, and you said it, Jack. What a back check that was by Shinkarik, because that was almost ugly.
I mean, he's down on the ground, and he's able to just stick his stick out and stop that play from developing.
And a saucer pass for Lucas is snatched by McGuckin, but another 2-on-1 generated. And, Zach, what I noticed on that play there is that they have Jurich just setting up shop at the blue line. It looks a lot like what Port Huron did with Dalton Jay and Matt Robertson. If you know you have high-skilled forwards, let them roam in the offensive zone and take those chances, because they will settle the puck down and generate a shot.
Dalton Jay, Tyler Jurich, 2 former Danbury Titans who are so good putting the puck in the back of the net. And yeah, Jurich, let him hang out by the blue line, because right now Watertown's D is handling the Danbury offense, and they're able to give that stretch pass out to Tyler Jurich. Because of that, the Danbury defense has to respect that. They can't hold the blue line, because God forbid it gets past them. Well, you have one of the best goal scorers in the league going in all alone on Tom McGuckin. And McGuckin, he's stopped 18 of 20 shots so far. We said it in the first period. You can't give Tyler Jurich that many opportunities.
Well, Jack, especially Tom McGuckin has stopped 18 of 20 last night. He stopped 52 of 56. I mean, Tom McGuckin has won his last 5 decisions, and he's a major reason why the Hat-Tricks are still in this contest here tonight.
And there are some moments with Tom McGuckin where you hold your breath. His puck handling is obviously room for growth. But his big save moments, we've seen it all season long. He's been unbelievable when it matters. And Tom McGuckin, I mean, you stop 52 shots in a night. That's an unbelievable statistic. He's doing it again here tonight. Obviously not the same volume of shots seeing, but he's making the same quality saves that's keeping this team in the game.
3-on-2 developing if they hurry. Kasich in with Bolin Porter and Bunnell. They slow up and allow for the 5-man setup with 9:35 to go in the second period. Kasich has it against the wall. He's being shoved from behind by Kyle Powell. Boudreau providing support. They get it over to Vlad Port. Port up to Boudreau to Jurich. Has Bogjoul up with him. Bogjoul gets it out to Jurich with a backhand try shot, save, and a rebound. They score. Once more, McGuckin got a piece of it, and he checks his glove for a hole. It's 3-2 Wolves.
Looks like it's going to be Tyler Jurich's 17th goal of the season. And again, you give him that many opportunities, he's going to score. In this case, a nice backhand shot. It's the hardest shot for a goaltender to track. And Casey, like you said, McGuckin, he got a piece of it. Not enough. But, Jack, how many times can the Danbury defense allow this to happen?
And they had the numbers. It wasn't like it was an odd man rush in any way. They had it covered. They just let them right into the zone, and there's no resistance as the charge comes through for the Wolves. I mean, they just walked right in.
A long shot goes into the crest on the center of the sweater of Tom McGuckin, and he holds it, tosses it to himself. And Tom McGuckin, after that shot went in, looked immediately down at his glove hand. I thought it might have been a rebound banged home, but it looked like it just went off the heel of his catching glove to the back of the net.
It's almost as if he closed his glove just a split second beforehand, and it goes off the bottom of the glove as opposed to getting right into the mitt. And you know, boys, this is the first lead that Watertown has had on Danbury all weekend. They got to be feeling good on that bench.
And it's the first time that Danbury has surrendered an enemy lead since Elmira.
Good point.
Back by Thanksgiving weekend. They had a 2-0 deficit that they overcame on Saturday. And since then, they led all weekend against the Delaware Thunder. And they've led all weekend against Watertown. This is the first time they've been trailing. And a redirection shot by Bronner, shot saved by Pominville.
They're going to have a whistle here. Bronner's not happy about it. What talent with his stick between his legs to deflect that on goal. And then it looks like the referee lost sight of the puck as it was still loose, but the faceoff will remain in the Watertown zone.
Odd that they lost sight of the puck. It was loose in front.
It was. That's why Phil Bronner's not a happy camper.
Nevertheless, on we merrily roll. As on the right wing is Pawlowski. Caglianone cuts off the puck, loops around behind the net for the Danbury Hat-Tricks. Looking up ice, shots on goal. We're almost about dead even, 21-20 in favor of the Danbury Hat-Tricks. Gavrik, back pass for Bolin Porter. Has Caglianone to his left. Caglianone has to slow up a bit, takes a hard check against the boards. Gavrik has it with his back to the open ice. Out to Bonnell, hops off of his stick. It's picked up by Dimmitt. Dimmitt carries it for a 3-on-2 if they hurry. Bolin Porter trying to negate the rush. And Caglianone with a good job to hawk the puck once more. As here's Bonnell turning around, and up the ice he comes. Bonnell has Gavrik to his right, and they will rule him offsides as Gavrik tried to hold the line and could not. We got a stoppage with 7:46 to go in the second period, and the Wolves holding on to a 3-2 lead.
Guys, Billy McCreary has run the Bolin Porter, Gordy Bonnell duo out there pretty much every other shift. I feel like they're seeing so much ice time tonight. A lot of that has to do, obviously, with the penalty kill and their success on that second power play unit, but they're seeing a lot of minutes tonight.
And why not? Because you've got Matthias Kasich also on that line who has a goal tonight, and Gordy Bonnell comes in with points in 12 of his last 13 games. He leads the squad with 16 assists as Lucas is brought down hard by Steve Brown, and a standing ovation from the Danbury Hat-Tricks faithful. Holding onto it and looking towards the net is number 14, Marvin Powell. Puck is loose, and here comes Nick DiNicola entering in on Asselstein. Looks to the net, that's swallowed up by Pominville. He cut off that puck. DiNicola didn't have a great angle towards the net on that shot.
Well, he's got good entry, good speed, and there's just no angle. You're right, Casey. Pominville's got him beat in all regards. He just puts the puck on the net, get the offensive zone face-off. The high percentage shots, again, have come really in that blue paint area, and we haven't seen a ton of that in the second period. Let's look for the Hat-Tricks to try to get lower and closer to the goal.
You're talking about losing the angle. How about losing the size battle? Dick DiNicola, 5'9". Braden Aslan, who laid the hit on him, 6'2". Boy, that's not a fun day in the office. But what is going to work out okay is the power play coming up now for Danbury.
Right off the faceoff, it looked like a man was brought down.
Yeah, Shinkarik was taken right down. He tried to win it to himself right up the middle there, and he got tripped up on the play, and we'll see who the player who's penalty. It was Boudreau, yeah.
Yeah, and they'll have to come back over towards the bench and explain to head coach Paul McLean why Boudreau is taking the faceoff out, because blink and you miss it. If you were looking down, you might have missed it, but Shinkarik was brought down right off the faceoff. So a key opportunity for the Hat-Tricks to answer back. Out to the blue line it goes. Levesque out there with Shinkarik, Anderson, Ruiz, and Bronner, a 5-forward unit out there for the Danbury Hat-Tricks. Saw mixed results against the Danbury Delaware Thunder, and they convert here. Carter Shinkarik with a bomb from the blue line.
Phil Bronner might have gotten a piece of it in front. He was doing battle, but boys, we talked about the Danbury Hat-Tricks and how they respond. That's how you respond.
And I'll tell you what, guys, Jeremy Pominville is irate at the official. He thought he was bumped in the blue paint. Phil Bronner's fired up about this goal, and it looks like we'll have a conversation between some of the officials and one of the alternate captains there, Stevie Brown.
Yeah, it looks like it's Kyle Powell and Steve Brown right on the edge of the referee's crease. But this goal should stand as Bronner stayed out of the blue paint. The contact was initiated as the puck went over the goal line, and Bronner was pushed into Pominville by the Watertown defense. This goal absolutely should stand, and the Danbury Hat-Tricks connect on the power play for the first time tonight.
Well, I was about to say that the 5-forward unit, sometimes they looked absolutely dominant against Delaware, and sometimes they looked like they couldn't really get their bearings. And you've got those two extremes, and it's feast or famine, and they feasted here. And it is Bronner who will get credit for the goal. Nicola Levesque will get an assist, as will Carter Shinkarik. Oh, they'll give Anderson an assist, even though it was Shinkarik's shot.
I think they'll figure it out. We hope so.
That will be corrected.
I should hope so. Tuma behind the end line, holds on to it. 6:30 to go in the second period, and once more we find ourselves at a deadlock. It's 3-3.
Wait, this game's had a little bit of everything. Yeah, it's just past 8:30 here on the East Coast. Maybe it's having a 2-week-old at home, but it feels long, this game. Everything seemingly happening the way it is. Boy. Yeah, and, give credit to the Watertown Wolves. They've got a shorthanded goal. They've got an even strength goal. They've got a power play goal. They're clicking. They're doing everything they need to. Danbury, that power play goal was so clutch for them.
And the stick failing on Vlad Port. So a chance to break in on only one defender with a stick. Bolin Porter gets around Powell, gets it out to the blue paint, and Port couldn't clear the crease as he was without a stick. But it looks like we will have a penalty coming up on the Watertown Wolves for interference.
And you can't do that. I mean, you just gave up a power play goal. You continue to put a Danbury Hat-Tricks team that connects on both of their units. You just keep putting them on the power play. Eventually they're going to find the back of the net. And once again, Watertown, they have to send a man back to the box. It's Powell.
Yeah, it's going to be Marvin Powell who sits for interference. And Casey, to your point, who's out there? All 5 forwards once again.
Well, if it worked the first time, why not the second? As here's Shinkarik looking for Ruiz on the near side post. Ruiz out there with Levesque, Bronner, Anderson, and Shinkarik. Out to Shinkarik at the blue line. Dishes it to Ruiz to his left. Bronner setting the screen. Ruiz maneuvering in. Backhander! He scores! What a beauty! Johnny Ruiz! The Hat-Tricks lead at 4-3!
Jack, I'm going to quote you. Oh my goodness. What a goal by Johnny Ruiz. He goes short side on the backhand off the top of the net and in. My goodness. The skill, the talent. Johnny Ruiz, he does it with ease.
The dangles, unbelievable. If you ask me, did you like that? I would say, yes, I did.
And
wow.
It's Phil Bronner setting the screen in front, and it's because of Bronner taking away Pominville's eyes that Ruiz was able to maneuver in.
Pominville could have as many eyes as he wants on that. I don't know if he's stopping it.
No way.
He's down in the butterfly, and Ruiz, from an impossible angle, the toe of his stick on the backhand. I mean, my goodness. You couldn't draw it up any better than that.
It's just the finish, and we had seen it over the last couple of weeks. Johnny Ruiz has kind of quieted down, if you will. He's had such a good season. He's still the leader in the points coming into today's game, but he was quieted down. We didn't see much from him in the Delaware series. And he gets moved to the second line here to start off this series against Watertown, or at least start this game. And he comes right in there in the dirty area, and just the close range finish like that is an unbelievable goal.
And once more, that 5-forward unit comes up with a power play goal.
And once more, you start hearing Section 102 here at the Danbury Arena really starting to make themselves known.
Here's Pawlowski in his own end, and the Watertown Wolves will have to go back to work, trailing by 1. Here's Kugler looking for the home run pass up to the red line. It's Pawlowski. Will dump it in deep. McGuckin will come behind his net and settle the puck down. Paddles it over to the near side midboards. Anderson trying to get it in stride. It's instead fielded by Colson Stabo. Entering in is Pawlowski. Dances to his left, trying to finagle it to his right. It will be instead intercepted by Anderson, who will send it down the length of the ice, but not towards the end line. Sunstabo turns around in his own blue line. Picked off once more by Anderson, entering in with DiNicola. DiNicola has it on his backhand, looking for Anderson, was being brought down from behind and can't connect with him. Here's Boudreau back up with Jurich. Here's Boudreau, spinning away from a defender, looking for the setup in front. Picked off. One-on-one action with Anderson. In on Sunstabo. Anderson dragging the toe, gets around him, looking to the net. Pad saved by Pominville. What a move by Anderson. Pominville without a stick, reaching for it, trying to get it back to himself. Here's Ruiz at the far side midboards. Has DiNicola and Nicola Levesque completing the three-man unit, and an errant pass goes out into the neutral zone as a Let's Go hat-trick chant erupts from the hat-trick faithful. Looking across the way, DiNicola has it, looking for the backdoor pass intended for Tuma. Mealy will have to come out into the neutral zone to cut off the play, as Bogjoul and Jurich were lurking. Mealy in on the near side with 3:50 to go in the second period, and the hat-trick's buzzing. Here's DiNicola, shoved against the boards by Sunstabo. Shinkarik picks up the puck, has Levesque to his left. Taken away by Boudreau, spins around, looks across the way to Bogjoul, and up the ice comes the silver and blue. Shinkarik takes the puck away. Here's Levesque, north-south action as here comes Bronner. Entering in, dragging the toe, wrist shot, he scores! Phil Bronner gets his second of the game, it's 5-3!
And the stick handle from Bronner's fantastic. He gets that little separation, and he's a great shooter. We praise his ability to get down in the dirty areas and use his body, get physical. His last goal, the deflection, standing right in front of the goal. This one, using all skill and the ability to just slip it in between Pominville. Oh, that's just a well-placed shot once again. That's incredible.
For Bronner, it's his 8th goal of the season, and that's one Pominville is going to want back as he got a big piece of it, but it sneaks in under the blocker, and Phil Bronner, boy, he has come to play. You know, Phil Bronner, I saw him before the game. He was trying to cut a new stick. He caught the butt end of that wooden stick on fire, and you know what? That stick is on fire. That's his second.
Well, how about that? A metaphor representing life as taking a step in is Caglianone.
Quite frankly, I'm just happy the fire alarm didn't go off.
Well, that would have been awkward. Might not have had a game.
We'll figure it out.
Neither rain nor snow nor sleet nor fire will prevent us from our usually appointed rounds. As Bolin Porter has it out into the neutral zone, rifling it ahead, and met by a man was Justin Coachman. As Caglianone trying to loop it around. Pinching in at the far side as Gavrick does battle with Coachman in the corner. Justin Coachman knocks him off and gets it up to Dimmitt. Pawlowski met by the stick of Levesque, and the Danbury Hat-Tricks starting to jam up the communication lines a bit for the Watertown Wolves. They haven't been able to really enter in cleanly in a minute.
Well, they're feeling it right now. Their passes, they're connecting. They're doing a great job corralling those passes, too.
Here's a better job now as that shot attempt is turned aside by McGuckin, so a good exit pass opened up a little bit of space. Now forced against the boards, Shinkarik, who has won many a puck battle here this evening, comes out with another one. Levesque with open space in front of him. Looks to the net on a forehand shot that goes off the glass. It hit off of him. Kicking it to himself was Vladimir Port, batting it to himself up in the air. And they will say it was played by a high stick, but that was a good keep-away play by Port.
I was going to say, that's the one that they called a high. All right, fine. But, you know, I'm not the referee.
I've never seen someone actively lift it up and get it with their knee like they were juggling a soccer ball like they do before the game.
I was exactly going to say that. That's the pregame routine. Yep. It finally comes in handy.
Yeah, that's an impressive play, hurling, if you will. A good Irish game there.
There you go.
Keeping it up on the stick.
Wait, O'Mara, are you Irish?
Wait, what?
Just a bit.
O'Mara, McGinnis, oh boy.
A long lead pass for Jurich out of his reach, but Bogjoul is lurking in front. Tuma breaks up the pass. Bogjoul now fighting with Steve Mealy. Boudreau providing support. Puck went off of the skates of the officiating crew. And the Hat-Tricks are able to regain possession. 3-on-2 if they hurry. Di Nicola looking for Anderson. Has it in his skates. Looking now across the way to Ruiz. It goes through his wickets. Mealy pinches in to keep the puck alive. Here's Anderson. Out in front to Ruiz. Hits it off the post. That's one for the thumb. The 5th post of the evening for the Danbury Hat-Tricks.
I feel bad for the staff here at the Danbury Arena. They've worked so hard on making these posts look so nice. Well, they're going to have to get back to it after this game because, boy, if they're not dented, they're at least scuffed up a bit.
Well, you know what it is that now that the paint is shiny and red, people see something shiny and want to aim for it.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Or they think it's a game of 3-bar like the D2 the Mighty Ducks. Shinkarik wins the draw back to Aaron Atwell at the near side point. That shot goes off the side of the net. Some oohs and ahs as some fans with not a great angle towards the net thought it might have found the back. Here's Aaron Atwell in the final minute as down on the ice is Carter Shinkarik, and he'll hobble his way over towards the Hat-Tricks bench. Atwell recognizing this will slow things down in his own end as Kendall Bolin Porter will replace Shinkarik on the top line. Levesque settles things down, gets it over to Aaron Atwell. Deliberately back over to Levesque, who now picks up a head of steam and enters in dead center. Wrist shot, juicy rebound out in front of Pominville, getting a stick on it. Bronner trying to get it out in front of the blue paint. Turning around, shot save, rebound, they score! Chaos in front, and it's Bolin Porter! Replacing Shinkarik, finds the back of the net!
Well, once again, Watertown, puck's rolling around in front of the blue paint. Pominville's on his belly trying to fight for that puck. two defenders are there. They just can't hang on to it. Levesque cleans it up, slides it across. Bolin Porter pulls it to his backhand because he knows he's going to have a better angle at the goal, and it's an empty netter for him. And that's a cushioned lead. This was a 3-2 deficit. Look at it now.
Oh, we talked about Danbury responding. 4 goals unanswered. That's a response.
Absolutely, yes. Now 4 unanswered for the Danbury Hat Tricks as we have time ticking down here in the second period. Bronner and Levesque will get the 2 assists on Bolin Porter's goal. And we mentioned it, Kendall Bolin Porter wasn't even supposed to be on that line. He only came on because Carter Shinkarik got injured. And Bolin Porter in the right place at the right time. So that'll do it for the second period with the Danbury Hat Tricks exploding late in the second for a 6-3 lead over the Watertown Wolves. And they were able to do so by their crafty stick work. We saw one great stick work play. Phil Bronner is able to capitalize on it. They had one extended shift in which they constantly were able to break in on Colson Stabo on that far side blue line. It provided 3 opportunities where Bronner was able to get, where Ruiz was able to get his goal. And now late in the period, you have a juicy rebound in front that leads to a second and third opportunity. And what a tenacious finish to that period for the Danbury Hat Tricks.
Yeah, it was great because it started with that greasy goal for Phil Bronner with the deflection in front. That's what ignited this 4-goal brigade. And after that, it was just the skill shown by Bronner again, Johnny Ruiz with that great goal, and then Kendall Bolin Porter just being in the right place at the right time. I mentioned he's had some really big minutes tonight. That one, he jumps out there, and he's able to find the way to just put the backhand in the back of the net.
And you know what else that I'm noticing is that at one point the shots on goal were 21-20 in favor of the Hat Tricks. They are now 31-22. Since that point, the shots are 10-2 in favor of the Danbury Hat Tricks. It shows you just how tilted the ice was in the second, which is uncharacteristic for Watertown.
Yeah, they really just pushed the envelope, Danbury did it. And you mentioned during the play, Casey, Watertown could not get through the neutral zone. They were having a tough job getting over the blue line into the attacking zone over the last 5 minutes in that period. As soon as Watertown allowed Danbury to get on the power play a couple of times, that's when things started to get gritty and Watertown lost their momentum of moving the puck as an offensive unit.
And Jack, that's a good point because the Danbury Hat Tricks, they go into the second intermission converting on 2 of 5 of their power plays. Those 2 power play goals with the 5-man units, that's what really started putting this game out of reach for the Watertown Wolves. Now again, we're in the Federal Hockey League. No game's really out of reach. It's only a 3-goal deficit, and Watertown can certainly make that up. But my goodness, 4 goals in a row for the Danbury Hat Tricks. They got to be happy going into the locker room. But we still got 20 minutes to play, and Watertown, they're not in first place in this division by accident.
Happy, yes, but satisfied, no, because we have 20 minutes remaining. And we still have to close things out here at Danbury Arena. You're watching Danbury Hat Tricks Hockey on the Hat Tricks YouTube channel. Casey Bryant alongside Jack O'Mara and Zach McGinnis. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for live coverage of the Danbury Hat Tricks as they take on the Watertown Wolves. We head into the third period with your score 6-3 in favor of the Danbury Hat Tricks. But first, it's time for the FPHL out-of-town scoreboard. Here's Zach McGinnis.
Thanks, Casey. They've gone final out in Michigan. The Port Huron Prowlers, an important division victory, 3-0 over the Columbus River Dragons. Chris Paulin with the shutout in that game. Matt Graham with a few goals as well. Meanwhile, down in Carolina, the Elmira Enforcers, a 4-3 shootout victory over the Carolina Thunderbirds. It's only the second loss of any kind for Carolina this season. Of course, the other one coming against these Danbury Hat Tricks on, I believe that was the third weekend of the season. They have had a fantastic start to their year. Meanwhile, out in Ohio, Casey, I know this is one you're looking forward to. The Mentor Icebreakers. Looks like they've gone yes, they have gone final. A 6-2 victory over the Battle Creek Rumblebees. The Rumblebees fall to 0-19 on the season. Meanwhile, they have also gone final here down in Delaware. The Danville Dashers coming from behind, a 3-2 victory over the Delaware Thunder. And right here in Danbury, Casey, as you mentioned, a 6-3 lead for the Danbury Hat Tricks. And boy, was there plenty of scoring in that period. Dominic Bojul and Tyler Jurich. Bojul with the power play goal. Jurich's goal coming about halfway through, and that gave Watertown their first lead of the weekend. But then Carter Shinkarik on the power play, as they have right now taken that goal away from Phil Bronner. Johnny Ruiz on the power play. Phil Bronner with, unfortunately, his only goal of the game right now. Kendall Bolin Porter in the final minute. 4 unanswered goals for the Danbury Hat Tricks. They lead it 6-3. And gentlemen, what a finish to that period for Danbury.
It really was. I mean, sorry to cut you off, Casey. It's just the way, again, the word that we keep using is response. And at one point you say, all right, 3-2 here. They're down again. When is that going to stop? When are they going to stop responding? Or they just don't have it in them? It's not tonight, because they came right back out. They had a couple of good power play opportunities. And that's really what hurt Watertown, because then Danbury got clicking. And when you score 4 unanswered like that, the period coming to an end is the worst thing for you, because you want to ride that momentum. And they got to come out of the locker room hot here, finish off these 20 minutes, and try to get to 9 in a row.
It's a night that is potentially historic for the Danbury Hat Tricks, as their franchise-long 8-game winning streak, they're looking to extend it to 9 here tonight. And if they win, of course that is a big if, they will surge into first place in the Eastern Division as one of the hottest teams in the FPHL. And that's I think everyone on the Danbury Hat Tricks bench, in their locker room, and even in the stands right now recognizes what is about to transpire in front of them tonight is, regardless of what happens, win, lose, or draw, it has the potential to be epic in the third period. Puck is dropped and away we go as Vlad Port crosses the way over to his defensive partner Kyle Powell. As the Watertown Wolves are chasing 3. They have a long way to go to fight their way back to bring it back to even, but it is not impossible, especially when you have the kind of high-caliber talent that they have on the forward lines.
Well, certainly. We just saw the Danbury Hat Tricks put up 4 goals in less than 10 minutes. No reason why the Wolves can't do the same.
Absolutely. Levesque enters in, cuts to his left, has Bronner and Shinkarik out there with him. Shinkarik rejoining the top line after a momentary lapse that allowed Kendall Bolin Porter to pot his first goal of the game. Desjardins plays it forward, hits off of the back of the cage of the Danbury Hat Tricks. Aaron Atwell cuts across the blue line, red line. Ambles his way in, rifles a wrist shot well wide. Levesque will paddle it down low behind the end line. Here's Johnny Ruiz spinning around, trying to allow some time for a line change as DiNicola and Anderson come over the boards. DiNicola smoking a man out from behind the net. That was Boudreau. Turns the puck over. Shot by Anderson. Kick save. Mealy trying to pick it up in the near side corner. Couldn't bang it home. Another sharp angle try from Anderson goes wide.
I like the shot selection by Mealy there, as he didn't have many options. He was able to draw the goaltender Pominville away with his own momentum, and he just sent it wide.
What a move there by Steve Mealy. Mealy is a forward by trade, and we saw the stick handling ability in close because he's been playing on the defense for the Danbury Hat Tricks all season long, but what a move that was in down low.
And, you know, we spoke about that earlier in the season when Steve Brown was out with an injury, Cruz Lismeyer was out with an injury, and Steve Mealy was manning the blue line. We thought eventually he would get moved back up, but, you know, it's been working for him, and the team's better because of it.
Absolutely. I mean, when you've got someone as steadfast as he is, and as a shot by Caglianone gets blockered aside by Pominville, and when you've got someone as sure-handed as Mealy who can get and can activate the offense from the blue line, why not keep him there? Bolin Porter spins away from a check, gets it out to DiNicola. Bunnell will make his way towards the net, but the puck will cross the blue line, and Caglianone will retreat and allow his line mates to touch back up. Caglianone spins away from a forecheck and deliberately killing off some time, which is the enemy of the Watertown Wolves. So the longer the Danbury Hat-Tricks take to get set up, the closer we come to the end of regulation time. And not that you want to start watching the clock with still 17 minutes to go in the third period, but the Watertown Wolves have to start activating. They have to average a goal at this point pretty much every 5 minutes.
Yeah, and they haven't done anything at the start of the third period to say that.
Pinching in is Caglianone on the far side. Gavrik is in front. Caglianone looping around as Steve Brown to his left crosses the way, finds Bolin Porter, takes a step in, fakes a shot, gets around the defender, has Bunnell in front as well, and Bunnell swings and misses at the pass in front, and here's Jurich picking it up the other way, up with Dimmitt. Jurich leaves it for Dimmitt, enters in at the far side, is met by Brown, and has it taken away by Gavrik, a 2-on-2 the other way. Gavrik with Bunnell. Drops it back for Bolin Porter. Bolin Porter loses his footing, was brought down from behind, no whistle, as he got a stick to the midsection.
Yeah, Bolin Porter got a stick to the midsection. Gavrik took a stick to the face.
As play will go on as Aaron Atwell knocks a man down. Pawlowski lost his footing. Shinkarik picks the puck up, gets it out into the neutral zone, and spinning around with it is Levesque. He enters in all alone and will send a wrist shot wide of the net. I believe Pominville might have gotten a small piece of it with the knob of his stick. Long pass gets by Atwell. Cutting now across the net. Looping around is Devaney, and he's brought down to the ice.
The rest of the Watertown Wolves were in a change. There was nobody even in the offensive zone to help him out.
Bronner forces his way in on the far side. Levesque gets sandwiched by a couple of Wolves, and Desjardins will spin out at the far side, but now back the other way. Here's Powell sending it towards the net and wide. That being number 14, Marvin Powell. Behind the net, Steve Mealy. Up the right wing to Phil Bronner, who was lurking by the Hat-Tricks bench. Will simply flip it ahead and go off for a change. 4.5 minutes gone by here in the third period.
And nothing showing right now for Watertown guys. I mean, they've gotten the puck in the zone maybe 2 or 3 times in total, and they haven't had any chances.
And there's Port with a weak shot on goal that's easily turned out by McGuckin.
Yeah, I wouldn't exactly call that a scoring chance, but it is their first shot on goal this period.
Well, that one almost was redirected in, but Jamie Lucas got a stick on it. Now Lucas again forcing a turnover as a backdoor pass intended for Boudreau is out of his reach, kept in by Port. So the first offensive zone shift for the Watertown Wolves in this frame, as Boudreau in the near side corner has Lucas out there with him, as is Bogjoul. Pinching in at the far side, Powell looking towards the net. A diving Corey Anderson has it deflect up into the netting. As Corey Anderson looking like a baseball player sliding into home trying to avoid the tag.
Looks like a bit of a snowman out there, as he'll have to shake that off as he gets to the bench. But he gets the whistle. He's played a fantastic game, had the game-winning goal in yesterday's affair, and, well, his teammates have certainly come out to play in this one.
And he's got a pair of assists here today as well.
Yeah, he keeps that point streak alive. And, guys, he's going downstairs to get looked at by Lee Day, one of the trainers for the Hat-Tricks. Not sure if he twisted or bumped something out there on the fall.
Here's Gavrik with a shot that goes off a defensive stick, and Pominville was just able to get a piece of it. And yeah, Corey Anderson wore that puck on the lower part of his body and came up a little lame, but now here comes Bogjoul with a 3-on-2. Drops it back, a shot by Boudreau looking down low for Bogjoul, and one pass too many as he was looking for Port. And now back the other way come the Hat-Tricks with a 3-on-2 of their own. Here's Gavrik with Bolin Porter. Gavrik looking across the way, broken up. A good back play by Powell, trying to stuff it home on the near side post. Gavrik couldn't get it home.
Again, another good shift there for the Hat-Tricks. It's the third line that goes out there. Bunnell, Bolin Porter, and Gavrik. They force it down low, and now Watertown's got to wait down low in their own zone.
Cameron Dimmitt up the gut of the ice. In on Steve Brown. Brown knocks it loose. Pawlowski turning around, intercepted by Aaron Atwell, who will sky it up, and Phil Bronner is off to the races. He's got Preston Kugler in front of him. Gets it out to DiNicola, looking towards the net and shot it just wide.
Post.
Ooh, that got the post again.
It did. That's number 6.
Out in front again, backhander! This one getting a toe on it was Pominville.
That's a great pass, too, from Bronner to the goal line, and DiNicola just gets absolutely smothered there by Pominville on the left side.
A hard check, Aaron Atwell drove a man into the glass. 6 minutes and 40 seconds have gone by here in the third period. 6-3 is your score in favor of the Danbury Hat-Tricks. Shinkarik, blue line, able to keep it in deep. And colliding out in the neutral zone was Dimmitt with his own man, Devaney. Brown leisurely leaves it over for DiNicola, and that's the kind of setup that you see on a power play, allowing that much time for the Hat-Tricks, but it works out to Watertown. Maybe not, as Devaney is stripped on his way in. Ruiz in with Kasich and Levesque. Ruiz turns around, leaves it for Kasich. Has Levesque setting up at the far side circle. He'll leave it down low, and Levesque will pursue. He does battle with Justin Coachman. Out to the open ice, Kasich looking across the way for Levesque and broken up by a defensive stick of Kugler.
Looking for Levesque. He had the opportunity for the shot there.
Trying to get it down low. Lucas chopping at it, and Mealy is able to cut it off. A pair of 11s in front of McGuckin, and it's the one in black and orange that comes away with the puck. Ruiz crossing in front of the penalty boxes will pitchfork it ahead. Pominville well out of his net to leave the puck aside for his defender. Dropping it back and carrying it up is Braden Asselstein as he dumps it in. Bolin Porter behind the end line. Has it pop up into his midsection, and Mealy drops it back for Marty Tuma. Tuma with a lot of time and space finds Bonnell on the left wing, and now a give and go. Here's Bolin Porter entering in on the far side. Bolin Porter trying to get it towards the net. Pominville gets a piece of it and gets a collision with Vlad Gavrik. And now here's a chance now for Bokjul. Bokjul breaking it, backhander swallowed up by McGuckin.
Yeah, that's a great two-line pass there coming out of the end, and Bokjul, he just gets it to the backhand, beats Listmeyer off the blue line, and he can't really pull it back to the forehand because Listmeyer is right there. So he says, I have to go with the backhand, and McGuckin makes the easy save there, hogging that post.
You're exactly right. It's the effort of Cruz Listmeyer that forces Bokjul to take that bad backhand shot.
Shinkarik wins the draw to the right of McGuckin. Caglianone will skate behind his net and simply flip it out towards the neutral zone, and settling it down will be Port. Gets it over to Jurich, intended for Boudreau, and it's cut off by the Hat-Tricks defense, who have been on the first line like white on rice. Simply inseparable from Jurich and Boudreau since the early goings of this game, where Jurich and Boudreau and Bokjul were able to generate odd man rushes seemingly at will. As Aaron Atwell loses the handle on it, and alert McGuckin covers it up. 8:45 gone by here in the third period.
Well, why not put one on goal? You know, they're actually going to give credit to Watertown for a shot on goal on that one. Not sure where they're getting that from. But either way, with the 2 shots on goal that Watertown should have this period, that's 2 shots in just over 8 minutes of play, and they trail by 3. Danbury's defense is doing everything they need to right now.
And it's the top pair that's doing a lot of that good work. That's Aaron Atwell and Steve Brown as they remain out there right now. Atwell springs pass for DiNicola, who aggressively strips the puck away. Great pass, and a shot attempt by Kasich goes wide. A rebound try from the far side post goes off the side of the net, and generating something out of nothing, I should say, as the net is off its mooring. Nick DiNicola aggressively, and what a stick lift.
I mean, he's been all over the ice tonight. He's had some really good moments. And right there, I mean, just his forechecking is so unbelievable. He's so quick. He's so nifty with his stick as well. And that speed is almost impossible to burn. He's a real talent and a great addition. We saw it right away when he joined the Hat-Tricks, how effective he's going to be in this lineup.
Gavrik wins it back to Atwell, tees up a clap bomb from the center of the ice, and it's easily steered aside by Pominville. Out into open ice and chasing after it is Dimmitt. He'll dump it in deep and try to spring Devaney, who chases after the puck, but Aaron Atwell gets there first. Gordy Bonnell turns around and hightails it the other way. Bonnell entering in, looking to send it down low for Gavrik, who receives behind the end line. Bonnell has Mealy at the point, elects to turn around and try to get back behind the net, takes a hit for his efforts, but still has the possession of the puck, and it's Pawlowski who will leave it for his netminder, who freezes it. 9:45 even gone by here in the third period. and the Hat-Tricks still lead by 3.
Yeah, they're kind of in cruise control, guys. It's not where they're sitting back and just kind of let the game go by. They're jumping at chances when they need to, but they're not stretching themselves too thin. They're keeping 2 guys back. They're not forcing anything right now. They're playing smart hockey, trying to stay aggressive when they need to, like this.
As Levesque had a pass out in front, and it's kept in by Bronner, looking across the way to Levesque, and the pass was broken up. A good stick by Kugler to break that up. He holds, saucer pass up the left wing, intended for Powell, is instead finds it stick to the Steve Mealy. And it goes up into the bench, and we will get a stoppage in play as a media timeout is upon us. We want to remind you to follow at Danbury Hat-Tricks on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and YouTube, of course, to get live game streams, highlights, interviews, and more, and exclusive behind-the-scenes footage. As Corey Anderson right now is maneuvering his way back towards the Hat-Tricks locker room, it looks like he's in a little bit of pain.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure exactly where it came from. The last shift that we saw him, he dove out, blocked a shot that took a weird bounce. It went well out of play. He went back to he went back behind the bench. Training staff took a look at him, and it looks like that'll be the end of Corey Anderson of tonight's game. And while that hurts the Danbury Hat-Tricks, they have a 3-goal lead right now. They have 3 full lines still, which are clicking. While it hurts right now, it is the last game of the weekend. He'll have a week to get himself back where he needs to be before we see Watertown once again.
Well, with 9:52 left in this game, there's no reason to push him, even if he's dealing with a minor tweak or just something. Get him to the locker room, get him into the shower, get him going, and we'll just move on here and get him healthy for the next coming weekend.
Well, it's the next man up mentality that has really helped the Danbury Hat-Tricks in this winning streak that they're currently riding, because they've seen a lot of new faces come in even during the winning streak, like Caglianone, who's out there on the ice, not on the ice right now, as Desjardins shot his blocker aside by McGuckin, but is playing in his second game in a Hat-Trick uniform. And we've seen people come and go on this Hat-Trick team. Dylan Kelly, their netminder, got called up in the middle of this winning streak to the SPHL. And all the while, Shinkarik's sharp angle try goes into the elbow of Pominville. And nevertheless, the long and the short of it is that really, if Corey Anderson isn't going to be able to play these last 9:20, there are still other players that are able to contribute on this Hat-Trick roster.
Absolutely.
Go.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's we've seen it throughout this winning streak, too. At the beginning of the season, that's what we didn't see. We didn't see that secondary scoring. It was 3 guys. It was Phil Bronner, Nicola Levesque, and Johnny Ruiz. Since these new acquisitions, you're seeing a lot more performance from guys like Gordy Bunnell.
Gordy Bunnell, who sets up Vlad Gavrik, where the wraparound attempt that was stuffed by the defender Kyle Powell. Bonjour will spin around. Go ahead.
And Casey, to your point, when it comes to the next man up, you have Thomas Freeman. He's played 14 games so far this season. He's scratched tonight. Brett Menton, he's played 14 games this season. He's scratched tonight. So, yeah, it's the Danbury Hat-Tricks, they've got the bench that they need to really succeed here.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about those 2 guys that you mentioned there. Brett Menton scored in his first game as a member of the Danbury Hat-Tricks. Thomas Freeman has been very steady on 2 ways. He's one of those guys that we said in the Delaware weekend is probably the most improved player of the Danbury Hat-Tricks when you think back to October 25th. He's got a goal and 4 assists on the season. As entering in as Caglianone, looks to the net, intending to redirect it towards the net was Kasich and couldn't get a stick on it. I mean, even if guys are injured now, you have other guys that are capable of slotting in. Credit head coach and general manager Billy McCreary for constructing a roster seemingly on the fly that has now become one of the strongest in the FPHL. Lead pass for Ruiz has Di Nicola crossing the way. Di Nicola breaking in, dancing towards the net, and Pominville is able to get a pad on it. Kasich spins around as Ruiz was also on the doorstep. Di Nicola out to Caglianone. Di Nicola now across the way once more to Atwell. Takes a step in. Wrist shot hits off of the cage of Pominville's mask.
You talk about the bench that Billy McCreary has put together. How about the system there? Is you have players who have only been here for a week. In the case of Lenny Caglianone, he's been here for 2 days. And tic-tac-toe passing like that, everybody's buying in. It's working.
They're buying in, and of course, it's a testament to his natural instincts as well. You have a lot of heady players on this Hat-Trick team, as there's a big open ice here, and Caglianone stands over him And now here's Di Nicola sprung for a breakaway. Di Nicola breaking in, shoots, scores! Nick Di Nicola with a breakaway goal at 7-3.
And there's that speed once again. Splits the defenders through the blue line. Great pass up ahead. And then the close range finish to go through the 5-hole against Pominville. And that's going to happen when you see 40 shots go your way. You're going to see those high-quality chances. And Nick Di Nicola, he's becoming one of those specialists. If one of these games goes late into shootouts, I guarantee you his number is going to get called by Billy McCreary. He's got some very, very great finishing on the breakaway.
Well, let's see how long he's actually here. That's his 5th goal in 3 games. Other teams are going to take notice of that very quickly. On that goal, a nice little shimmy. It opens up the 5-hole, and he slots it right home.
And that play starts with the big hit by Caniglione. I mean, that's a tremendous hit that's out there. Caglianone throws a check at the blue line, knocks the puck loose, is able to get it back to his teammate, and Di Nicola is off to the races with that breakaway speed. I mean, that's a great job by Caglianone. He won't get an assist, I believe.
He will not.
But that play is possible because of him. And we spoke with Billy McCreary. He said he loves the edge and the compete level that Caglianone is going to bring to the team.
Well, that was the scouting report on him out of Evansville, as though there will be a penalty coming up against Danbury. But he's a good stay-at-home guy who plays with a chip on his shoulder. Well, you know what? Danbury, especially at the beginning of the year, we talked about how their defense needed changes made to that unit. Well, he's a great piece to add to that puzzle.
So it'll be a power play opportunity for the Watertown Wolves. They have not found the back of the net yet on the man advantage. Unless I stand correct.
I believe they have one. Let's go to the score sheet real quick.
I could be incorrect.
It's a power play goal. It was their 2nd goal of the game, Dominic Bajul on the power play.
You're right. So the Watertown Wolves will go back to work then, and they are trailing by 4. They will need a Herculean effort in order to crawl their way back into this one. As here's Bajul entering in on the left side, trying to get around Mealy. Mealy with a good job of keeping his skates parallel with Bajul, make sure he doesn't get around him, not caught flat-footed. Dimmitt out to Boudreau. Boudreau is easily held up by Tuma. Now crossing the way, Bajul thinks about a shot. Now his attempt goes wide at the net mouth. Minute 20 to go on the power play. Bajul far side midboards, has Dimmitt to his left. Powell at the near side midboards. Here's Dimmitt. Now over to Powell. Has Jurich in the corner. Boudreau is in that bumper position in between the hash marks. They get it to him. Bouncing puck, swiping at it is both Boudreau and Bonnell, but it will instead be Steve Mealy who gets a stick on it. We're halfway through the power play.
And it was Mealy on the power play when the Wolves scored. He had a couple of plays that just couldn't get the puck out of the zone. This time the bouncing puck, he finds it on his stick, fires it down the length of the ice, and gets the good clear.
40 seconds to go in the power play, and we're approaching the final 5 minutes of regulation time, and the Hat Tricks are in a good position to win their 9th game in a row. And Watertown will need some magic in the late goings here in the Hat City as Powell holds on to it by the Colonials logo, dishes it to Jurich. Quick pass over to Boudreau is stripped by Ruiz. Ruiz trying to one-hand shuffleboard it up the ice. He will instead get it back to Steve Brown, who will hold in a very slow shift change here for the Watertown Wolves, as they were very taking their sweet time getting back to the bench towards the end of this power play here.
Well, they'll finish. They're now 1 for 6 on the power play, but with 4:20 remaining here in the 3rd period, they still have only recorded 2 shots on goal in this frame.
Here's Di Nicola up with Atwell, a 2-on-1 if they hurry. Di Nicola looking to the net, shot gloved out of the air by Pominville, and he swipes it into the near side corner, and Di Nicola is down on the ice, and he's hurt. And Aaron Atwell will drop the gloves, as will Justin Coachman. It's a matter of whether or not the referees will let them go. The referees will step between them, and they will not allow them to dance. The music simply will not play.
And Coachman was willing to go, but linesman right there on top of him at the same time.
Well, I'm sure what they want to do is that they don't want to have them fighting on top of Di Nicola.
Exactly it. That's exactly it. And we'll see if Atwell and Coachman as they both drop their gloves. Let's see if they get sent to the box for unsportsmanlike conduct. But good to see Nick DiNicola back up on his feet as he was feeling it as he went down. But again, he'll go to the back of the bench now for Danbury. And this is exactly what you don't want to see if you're a fan of the Hat-Tricks. You've lost Corey Anderson for the game. I don't expect we'll see DiNicola back. You have a 4-goal lead. At this point, you just want to go home and get out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. And what happened was it was Coachman who hit DiNicola, and then he fell down on top of him. And I think he got his head there, and that's why, the cause for concern. That's why he was down on the ice for a little bit longer there. So you obviously want to take a look at him, and I think you're right, Zach. You're not going to put him back out on their ice, especially if there's a head issue involved. But that's what it looked like from this vantage point.
And you don't want, in a contentious matchup in which these two teams have another home-and-home next weekend, Friday night in Danbury at 7 o'clock, and then Saturday night in Watertown, you don't want liberties being taken at any stage by either side. So you want to make sure that you're still playing a good, clean game of hockey, because that's the way that you're going to win. You're going to win on the scoreboard, not in fisticuffs. Behind the end line, Phil Bronner with 3:45 to go in regulation time. Levesque cycles it out to Mealy. Mealy's momentum carries him to the left. Martin Tuma is able to get the puck deep, but the Hat-Tricks have to re-rack. Here's Lucas. Lucas, who got the ball rolling here this evening with a short-handed goal, was the first goal of the game, but the Danbury Hat-Tricks, since that point, have come roaring back. Carter Shinkarik chases after the puck. Kyle Powell retrieves, gets it over now to the other Powell on the squad, Marvin Powell.
No relation.
No relation, yes. Has Kasich behind his end line. Simply loops around. The Vultures circling, and the Hat-Tricks, I'm sure, just want to take their sweet time. And honestly, the Watertown Wolves are letting them. If I was Lenny Caglianone, I would just stand there.
Why not?
Yeah. Dare them. Do you remember that play where, as Matthias Kasich enters in, where the Philadelphia Flyers were protesting the 1-4 forecheck from the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they just stood there for a minute?
Yeah, they stayed in their own end. I actually think Chris Pronger was
Yes.
the puck carrier on that team, because he came out from behind his own net and waited and waited and waited. We have a whistle. And waited. The referees eventually blew the whistle, told both teams to knock it off.
Yeah.
Then they established that rule that you have to keep the puck moving. That's the biggest thing. After a certain amount of time, you could sit behind your net a little bit and play with the puck, but you have to move it, and you just can't sit on top of it like that. And yeah, Marty St. Louis was the number 1 forechecker in that situation.
Yes, he was. And Scott Hartnell is standing right by the Hat-Tricks, or excuse me, by the Flyers net. They're both wearing black and orange.
All right, fine.
Don't give me that look. As Bagjul enters in, trying to get around Listmayer, and Caglianone is there to swipe the puck away as Listmayer will finish his check on Bagjul, and the two exchange pleasantries. As we hit the 2-minute warning here in the third period. A reminder to tune in next Friday at 7 p.m. as the Danbury Hat-Tricks rematch against these same Watertown Wolves for round 3 of 4 in this Eastern Division showdown, as the Danbury Hat-Tricks currently lead 7-3, barring a miraculous comeback. As Bagjul is hurt, barring a miraculous comeback, the Hat-Tricks will have won their 9th in a row. Bagjul has his gloves and stick still on the ice. Play will go on as he's able to make his way to the bench under his own power.
I'm not sure what happened to there, if he caught a stick to the midsection or what, but yeah, he left the laundry out in the Danbury zone.
And it's the referee that is taking the stick and taking the gloves and swiping it aside as play must go. The show must go on. Marvin Powell dumps it in. Powell skates right over the gloves that the referee moved over by the boards. So much for that cleaning attempt. Gavrik to Ruiz on the left side. Back to Gavrik, looking towards the net. Redirection. They score! A beauty of a tip from Matthias Kasich. It's 8-3.
Well, just when we think this game's pretty much wrapped up, the Hat-Tricks with a burst of speed, and it's Gavrik with the nice little feed across, and we've seen the puck go off the post all day long, so why not hit all three and go into the back of the net on that one? Kasich, a nice redirection right there to find that goal, and that's the second of the night. He started it, looks like he's going to end it.
For Kasich, it's his 8th of the season, and But the deflection on that, on the backhand, I mean, he's got no angle on that, and he puts it top corner.
And that rattled the irons as well.
Yeah.
This was finally one that hit off the irons and found the back of the net. I'm pretty sure that hit all 3 posts. It went into the corner and near side post, crossbar, far side post, and to the back.
You had extra points for that?
You should.
I agree.
Here's Shinkarik entering back in, and his wrist shot goes high and wide. So 8-3 is now your score in favor of the Danbury Hat-Tricks. As you mentioned, Zach, Matthias Kasich gets yet another goal. That is his 6th goal in 5 games now, Kasich, one of the hottest players on this Hat-Tricks team. And Gavrik gets another point, as Gavrik had a 3-point night last night, has himself another assist tonight, as Gavrik's another one of the guys like Kasich, who anytime you put him out there, you can trust him in almost any situation because of how sure-handed he is.
He'll get one last shift here with 10 seconds left, but for the Danbury Hat-Tricks, for a team that, Watertown had the advantage. They were up 3-2. Danbury Hat-Tricks take care of that business.
6 unanswered goals results in the 9th consecutive victory for the Danbury Hat-Tricks as they have surged into first place in the Eastern Division.
That's unbelievable. I mean, this is a game where you might start to think this is it. This is when the streak breaks. Watertown's got that lead. They jump out to that 3-2 lead. And for a while, Danbury didn't have much going for them. They take advantage of the power play. It's the goal that goes to Phil Bronner, ignites the spark. And then they just found their confidence once again. It took them a little bit with that deadlock. And then it just kept on rolling and rolling and rolling. And it's the same names we're calling. D. Nicola finds another goal. Bronner has a pair, as well as Matthias Kasich has a pair. And there you go, Marty Tuma hoisting the barrel.
Marty Tuma, who had the fisticuffs earlier in the game as he dropped them. David Pawlowski did not drop them. But Tuma is another one of those players that I'm sure in his ability to hoist the barrel, as a result by Litchfield Distillery, brought to you by them as we celebrate the spirit of hard work. Marty Tuma has worked very hard to get to the point where now he's shutting down the #1 team in the Eastern Division as a veteran player. He's 34 years old, having not played in 3 years. It looks like he hasn't missed a beat since joining the Hat-Tricks.
No, he has been fantastic. Like you mentioned, he takes 2-3 seasons off from hockey entirely.
Yeah.
He comes back here to Danbury. He was recruited by assistant coach Johnny Krapinski, and, he's in game shape. He's working real good out there. The guy's an NHL draft choice for a reason, and we're seeing that veteran presence and how important he's become for this Danbury Hat-Tricks team.
So Phil Bronner will get the #1 star, looks like. As their #2 star, as #3 was Carter Shinkarik. As Bronner tosses a puck to the fan. And Matthias Kasich will be the #1 star as he had a pair of goals. He salutes the crowd, and boy, I tell you, Kasich had himself a terrific night. But I want to say that this was a terrific night as well for Tom McGuckin, because Tom McGuckin now has won 6 games in a row, and he's a major reason why they were even in this game to begin with. And McGuckin, who has really come into his own as a professional, stood tall again with some key saves, stoning the top line for this Watertown Wolves team.
Yeah, you didn't see much once the Hat-Tricks went on that 4-goal run there and ends up being 6. But before that, it was the save after save, the big saves with the blocker, using all parts of his body to make saves, and help from his defenders. Aaron Atwell, 2 huge block shots when McGuckin's out of the play. But his confidence is building, guys. You can see that. I mean, handling the puck tonight, too. He came out of his net a couple of times. He fired it around the boards. There was no hesitation. He stayed in his crease when he needed to. I thought he played a really good game, and it helps when you have that onslaught of goals. Once again, Danbury finds a way to get up to 8 goals. It's a really big number, and that's going to help you as a goaltender because you know your offense has your back. And eventually, the defense tightened up a little bit in the zone. They made better, smarter plays. and then it's home cooking for you in between the pipes.
And you mentioned McGuckin's confidence. Let's go back to the beginning of the season. He lets up a few soft ones against Port Huron in an overtime loss. He has a disastrous outing against Elmira, giving up 3 goals in 26 seconds, 2 of which are him leaving the crease and attempting to play the puck with his stick and missing. You know, if you're a goaltender, your confidence could be shattered like that. But again, you take a look at this veteran makeup of the team. Nick Niedert, one of the best mentors that a goalie can have. And McGuckin, he has completely turned things around. Casey, you mentioned it's his 6th victory in a row. And you heard the whispers around Danbury when Dylan Kelly left. You know, how's the team going to respond? Well, I think they've responded just fine.
Well, that'll do it here from Danbury Arena as 9 consecutive victories. The Danbury Hat-Tricks have surged their way into first place, but we're still a long way away from April. As we have ourselves another marquee showdown, the Watertown Wolves will search for revenge next weekend. As the Wolves will be here on home ice at Danbury Arena, we'll be bringing you live coverage Friday night at 7 p.m. as the Hat-Tricks battle the Wolves in round 3. They'll be up in Watertown next Saturday. We want to thank everyone for tuning in here today and everyone who makes a Hat-Tricks game possible here at Danbury Arena. We sincerely thank you all for tuning in. For Jack O'Mara and for Zach McGinnis, I'm Casey Bryant. Have a good night.